Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. It's great to be amongst the wise and the learned and those who seek to learn and be wise. I appreciate my time with you all. I appreciate you guys joining this conversation and this study because it really helps all of us in every way, essentially. I don't think there's anything better to spend your time doing than studying yourself and studying how your mind works and how the world works so that you can act in a way that is beneficial to the rest of reality. Life is a wonderful thing. So, thank you all for being here. If you're joining and you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button because, as I've said countless times, this helps the YouTube algorithm categorize my information as information that is enjoyable at the least. So, go ahead and hit that like button. So, today we're going to be reading the second chapter of the book in our book study, the book called Karma and Karma Yoga. The author is Swami Niranjana Ananda Saraswati. And the second chapter deals with karma and how it relates to the gunas. Now, the gunas can be classified as the substance of nature, the substance of prakriti. Prakriti is the name given to the entire manifested dimension. Okay, we can see her as Mother Nature, but she is the entire manifested dimension. So, not just the trees and the grass, but everything that can be perceived, right? Everything that can be tasted, felt, touched, smelt, heard, seen, all of that. She is the five senses, and she's also the things that are observed and experienced with the five senses. She is the matrix, okay? And this is the most ancient conception, one of, right? Because there's always been the divine feminine goddess of nature, always. But Prakriti is one of the oldest. And what makes Samkhya so important, so wonderful for us and for myself, is that Samkhya represents a system. Okay, so think about it like this. If you have to deal with a bunch of numbers, right? Our little minds can only calculate so much. And even if we have complex algorithms, it would take us a very long time. Well, most of us know that Alan Turing is seen as the father of robotics, the father of computers. Well, before there was actually a machine that computed numbers, he used a room full of women to sit there and break down the entire algorithm. Stop. What are you barking at? So eventually they come up with hardware and software to do that complex computing. So what makes Samkhya so important is that this is a system, just like a computer, that allows us to deal with massive amounts of data. Okay, massive amounts of data about reality. It helps us organize it and relate it all to itself so that it makes sense, so that it all checks out, so that we're not just scrambling with random words and random concepts. In other words, Samkhya is a framework that allows all the pieces of reality to fit together and to work together seamlessly. So within that framework, we have two concepts of things that exists, right? The first concept is consciousness. The second is energy. Now, consciousness is not just your thoughts. Consciousness is beyond that. Consciousness is what we've referred to as the all in the Kabbalion. Now, matter or prakriti or energy is everything that can be experienced, right? So they're two separate things, and the only two things. And what happens is when those two things combine together, it creates living patterns essentially. So matter isn't alive, matter is animated by consciousness. This is why the body dies and skin cells die and animals die and trees die, but the consciousness continues to flow. And the thing is, the consciousness was never here. Matter is just mimicking the patterns that appear within it due to it being near consciousness. But more on that later. As a matter of fact, yesterday I posted a video that's pretty much called Everything You Need to Know About Samkhya. Go through that video, and I left a link to a detailed lecture given by Professor Kathleen Higgins. And she literally just breaks down the science. So if you're somebody that's kind of new to this, or you just can't quite grasp it yet, that would be a great catch up video, a great primer to understand this system that we're currently dealing with. Okay. And the beautiful thing is, a lot of what we know of as spirituality comes from this system. Samkhya is one of the oldest spiritual systems that's in its entirety. And one thing about math and algorithms and stuff like that is before there were rock stars and before there were athletes and musicians that were famous and popular, mathematicians and scientists were the celebrities of the world. And as a matter of fact, when someone came up with a new algorithmic discovery, it set the Western world on fire because people had different ways of calculating reality. Now, the thing was, someone would come up with this perfect set, right? This perfect equation, this perfect set that answered everything, right? And then a new scientist would come and debunk it and come up with an even better set. And that's what kept going with this race of knowledge. These different scientists would keep coming up with these new formulas that discovered everything. Everyone knows about Albert Einstein and the E equals mc squared, but really, if you have heard of Tesla and some of what he's written about, they branch off in two different ways, right? More on that much later because I'm still learning myself. But anyway, Samkhya is one of those systems that stands true and stands firm since 10,000 years ago. All right, now there's a lot of systems that have come out after that that have been kind of faulty, that may or may not answer this thing, that contradict itself. We've all seen spiritual systems that contradict itself. But like I said, Samkhya is it remains strong and pure as one of the systems that makes sense and answers quite a lot of questions. So without further ado, let's continue. All right, all right. Greetings, Sunshine Chick. Greetings, Stray Panther. Society Ejects, welcome, welcome. I'm a star 13, peace and love. Will Trent, greetings, bro. Gerald Sombright, peace, peace. Alicia M, greetings, greetings. Trav the Dog Whisperer, I'm learning. Alicia M says, my interest in the assignment was the three gunas. Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll be going over that too. I know that the gunas can be a little bit strange to understand. That's why I make it a point to really talk about it in all these videos each time. But essentially, the gunas can be seen as like glasses that the reality can be seen in. And there's three flavors. Sattva being the purest, the clearest, seeing ultimate reality in the clearest perspective with clear glasses. Rajas can be seen as red glasses. And it's seeing the world as in a way that is very passionate, full of anxiety, full of busyness, just always, always moving, 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 active, active, active. And then there's tamas, which would be considered as black glasses, shades. And that's leading more to inertia and decay and gravity and heaviness and thickness and density and ignorance and stupidity. So those are the three different ways that reality expresses itself and can be perceived. Obviously, we're aiming for a sattvic perspective, but it's actually very rare for someone to truly see through a sattvic perspective. It takes a lot of work, and the work is reducing the tamasic and reducing the rajasic so that the sattvic can rise. And just like Society Eject said here, this chapter really goes into the gunas, so we're about to really dig in. Sunshine Chick says, does Kabbalah Tree of Life correlate with parallel universe multiverse theory? My intuition is telling me is all the same. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And to be honest, once we get past the upper triad, right, that's where there are multiple, 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 countless universes and dimensions. And the Vedic system also deals with that, right? But the thing is, as we go up further and further, we start becoming more and more unified to where we start getting to the single point. But what's happening is when life force comes down from the unmanifest, it comes down from Kether, Hakma, Bina. Once it reaches that point, it begins to expand so rapidly, right? We're talking about multiple big bangs that produce more big bangs. So yeah, it's countlessly expanding. But the thing is, now we're in the manifest dimension, and the manifest dimension is the illusion because it's a manifestation of the prototype. Now the prototype is closer to reality, and the prototype never manifested. It's the prototype. Just like I said before, if you got an iPhone, that is a manifested iPhone. But on those computers at the Apple laboratories, there's the prototype for the Apple iPhone. So it doesn't matter if your phone is pink or blue or brown, or if it gets cracked or broken, or if you've downloaded 30 apps or 10 apps, you've got the manifested version, which is only a copy of what is at the laboratory in the schematics and the blueprint and the unmanifest. So the unmanifest, once it changes there, it affects everything manifested. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, in the unmanifest dimension, those three gunas are completely balanced, so there's no activity. It's just the prototype. The fact that we live in the manifest dimension, the reason is because the gunas are imbalanced, and that's what's causing karma. That's what's causing the reality that we know of. So let's dig into this. Good question. Puppy, puppy. She lost her little ball behind the damn couch. All right. Hey, puppy. Cute doggy. All right. Okay, so today is chapter 2. And chapter 2 is most certainly dealing with the gunas. And as it says here on this deck, the gunas are the modes of nature. All right, and as I mentioned before, again, because these principles are so abstract, don't just take one word as the definition. It has to be defined and explained in multiple words. So just for a quick primer, rajas can be the passionate expression of nature. Tamas could be the ignorant expression of nature. Sattva can be what's considered goodness or balanced or harmonious expression. A lot of people have heard the term God, God, as generator, operator, destroyer. Well, that exactly comes from this: generator, operator, destroyer. And see, this is an expression of energy, right? It's not a thing or a person. It's just how reality expresses itself. Okay. So again, rajas, generation; tamas, operation. Sattva, operation; and tamas, destruction. All right. All right. Here we go. Again, I want to thank you all for being here. And if you enjoy this content, go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't already. And by the way, this is going to be the next Kabbalah book that we're going to jump into. So I'm just kind of biding a little bit of time for you guys to actually get a copy of this, or get the PDF if you want to. But that's what we're diving into next as the Kabbalah book. All right. Karma and Karma Yoga, Chapter 2, Gunas and Karma. Make sure that is clear. Okay. We come into this life with the basic operating system, which provides the experience of life with all its expressions. The components of the operating system are the 4 instincts: ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithuna. Remember, he said that those 4 instincts were, let me just go back here so we can catch up for those of you who don't have the book. Where was it? Much further back. All right, so here we go. So he says here, I'll just read the whole sentence and then we'll go back over it. The components of the operating system are the 4 instincts: ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithuna. Swabhava, or the character, the nature with which we come into this life. Samskaras, right? We learned a lot about samskaras yesterday. The impressions which we carry forward from our previous lives. And the senses, the associations of the senses with sense objects. So the components of the operating system, he says the 4 instincts. Those 4 instincts are craving, sleep, insecurity and fear, and gross sensuality, right? Sexuality and sensuality. Those are the 4 basic instincts. Next, he said was swabhava, which is our general nature, right? How we express ourselves in life. The third is samskaras, which are deep impressions, deep subconscious impressions that continue to generate desires. And desires generate actions, and actions create more karma, and it's an endless cycle. And then the last aspect he said was the performance of the senses and the sense objects. So basically everything that we pick up with our senses, and the fact that we attach our description of ourselves and our day-to-day lives and our thoughts with the things that we experience. So the influence of the gunas. Remember I said the gunas are the three flavors in which reality expresses itself, which nature expresses herself, I should say. Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. Right? Greetings, fitness royalty. Root I am, peace, peace. Pip super, peace and greetings. Sunshine Chick, thank you for posting the link. I know that this one isn't as rare as some of his others, but I think it kind of comes and goes. So if you can get a copy, go ahead. Influence of gunas. The four components are also affected, guided, and nurtured by the three gunas, or qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Our samskaras, sensory interactions, swabhava, and instincts can be sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, or a mix of all three. Okay, so all those different qualities that I listed, as far as sleep, the sexuality, the attachment of the senses, craving, your character, your deep subconscious impressions, and your five senses and what you do with them, all those things will be expressing themselves through one of the lenses of the gunas. You see what I'm saying? So all those activities and all those different components of the operating system, they will be operating through one of the gunas, right? So just for example, if one of them is craving, right? Your craving is either going to be rajasic, your craving is going to be sattvic, or it's going to be tamasic. He said gross sexuality. Your sexuality is going to be rajasic, sattvic, or tamasic, right? Your five senses and how you pick up the world, generative, operative, or destructive. Your personality, your samskaras, your deep subconscious impressions, they're either going to be generative, operative, or destructive. All right, let me know if that makes sense so far before we keep going. All right, so our samskaras, sensory interactions, swabhava, and instincts can be sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, or a mix of all three. Peace, Louis. The three gunas are cosmic in nature, which manifest as the support system for the basic operating system of our life. At the cosmic level, they are the qualities which are latent and inherent in creation. What is the inherent and latent quality in a seed? If you open the seed up, you don't see the tree, the leaves, the flowers, or the fruits. But if you plant the seed and provide the right care, the seed will sprout. Open the seed, you see nothing. In that nothingness is the latent possibility for the growth of a plant. When the time and conditions are right, the seed dies and the plant appears. The seed has to die for the sprout to emerge. In the same manner, the seed of ego and individuality within us has to die for spiritual awakening to take place. Just as within the seed is contained the possibility for the growth of a plant, the inherent possibility and the potential qualities, which are the support systems, exist at the cosmic dimension. They are called the gunas. However, at the cosmic level, they are in absolute harmony and peace in their basic nature. Okay. So that goes on to what I was saying about, the iPhone, right? So you may have a manifest copy in your hands, but before that existed, it was a prototype on the computer somewhere. Of course, in the computer, the software, the blueprint, it's not tangible, right? It's somewhere else. But from that blueprint, countless prototypes have been created, right? Countless physical copies have been created. That would be representing the manifest dimension. Now, in the manifest dimension, these gunas are out of balance, and they're constantly seeking to balance themselves, up and down, up and down, up and down. In the blueprint, in the unmanifest dimension, like the on the computer, he compares it like a seed. You've got a seed that will eventually become a tree, but you can't slice open the seed and see the fruit and the leaves and the bark. It's not like a tiny tree in there. The seed is the potential, it's the blueprint for what it's going to become. Now, in order for that seed to activate and become manifest, it has to be planted into the ground. It has to be planted in good soil and watered and receive sunlight. And once the environment is correct for it, the tree will begin to sprout. And then all the qualities inherent within that seed, the potential in that seed, it'll begin to manifest. But only when it's planted and it has the right environment. And also, he says the seed has to die. The seed has to die in order for the tree to come out. I remember in grade school we did those little experiments where we planted the little bean in the little cup with the soil, and you watched as the seed itself, it was kind of broken out of by the growth. Well, the same thing he's saying here about your spiritual awakening. The ego itself is the seed. You've got the potential of undifferentiated consciousness. You've got the potential for godhood, for the high levels of spirituality, but the ego is the seed, and it has to begin to die in order for the qualities that are within that seed to express themselves and break out. Make sense? Nature of Gunas. What is the basic nature or quality of the three Gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas? The quality of Sattva is luminosity, illumination, wisdom and understanding, knowledge, creativity, simplicity, innocence of the head, and simplicity of the heart. All right, so what he just described there was the Sattvic Guna, Sattva, right, out of the three. And that represents harmony. And I've shown this many times here. Peaceful, universal, harmonious, wise, refined. You got me? So that was the Sattvic. What's the next one? The next one is Rajasic. He says the quality and right here, Rajasic, the upward pointing one, because it's very active. It's very active. The quality or nature of Rajas is creation, manifestation, transformation, change, activity, expression, and performance. All right? You see a lot of activity there. And keep in mind, he didn't say this is good, this is bad. He's describing that these are functions of expression. So it has never been about good and bad. Good and bad it's an elementary level understanding of the universe. It's way deeper than that. And it's impartial to the individual. It's just a law, an opinion. Okay, so we talked about Sattvic, we've talked about Rajasic. Now the third is Tamasic. The nature of tamas is a conditioned, defined state of body and mind. The conditionings in life indicate the nature of tamas. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, Grand day, chat, Trav, check your email. And one question, what time will the magic school class start? I'm in doula class at the moment, so if you can type it in the chat. So the class will be held at 8 p.m. just like this, and it's going to be on Thursdays, just like this. The first session starts next Thursday. So I've responded to most everybody. If I haven't responded to you, I'll be getting to you tomorrow morning. But again, like I said, if you are interested in taking this class, we are starting on Thursday. So go ahead and send me an email so that I can connect with you and we can set up a date to conversate. The class begins on Thursday, so if you're interested, go ahead. All right, so Peace Court Sing. Marquez the Chosen One. Peace. How to get the book, bro. Your best bet will be to go to Amazon.com. 40 Shot Kosher Corver. Peace, peace. When creation is born, when Prakriti begins to do its work, then what emerges is a form. Right? Remember, we talked about Prakriti as being what can be considered as Mother Nature or the Matrix, the entirety of the manifest dimension. When creation is born, when Prakriti begins to do its work, then what emerges is a form. The identity of the entire universe as well as individual life is perceived through form. If you guys remember Ladder of Lights, that sounds a whole lot like what's going on at NetSec. Remember, Netzach can be considered also the beauty of nature, the face of God. The angel of this sphere is called Uriel or Aniel or Phaniel, which means the face of God, which represents the form of God. You can't see God with your physical eyes, but you can see the form of nature that God expresses itself as. Okay, so that sentence right there is really referring to, it really relates to what we learned about Netzach and the Tree of Life. When creation is born, when Prakriti begins to do its work, then what emerges is a form. The identity of the entire universe, as well as all individual life, is perceived through form. How would I know that you exist? Only when your form is seen. Where there is no form, one may imagine the existence of an object, but imagination is not proof. The proof of existence is form. Secret gem right there. The proof of existence is form. Is that why sigils are so important? The state where form and shape are established is the state of Tamoguna. When I think of tamas, also, I was watching this documentary last night about this prison in Texas, and it really gave you this virtual experience of being there. And, it's just imagine a human life going from being, in the public, in the general public, able to do what you want and go where you please, and now suddenly you're in these cinder block walls, and everything that you do is regulated, and there is no freedom. You're stuck there for a duration. That's a tamasic state, right? So likewise, when spirit is manifest through matter, it's that same type of thing. The spirit is now somewhat imprisoned in matter. It's become into a tamasic state. Hence why these arrows are pointing downward. The state where form and shape are established is the state of tamoguna. It is like creating a pot out of undifferentiated clay. Tamoguna does not indicate negativity, but the assumption of a state or a condition. That's also important. So tamas does not indicate negativity, but the assumption of a state or a condition, right? Tamas is often seen as the color black, just like Bina. And Bina is also where nature begins to have its first aspect of form. This pillar is of force, this pillar is of form. This body with its form and shape is tamasic. The trees, the sun, the stars, and planets also indicate tamas. When the unmanifest becomes manifest and assumes a body, state, or condition, that is the guna of tamas. When the unmanifest becomes manifest and assumes a body, a state, or a condition, that is the guna of tamas. Tamas is the only indication of coming into a conditioned state of being, which can be external as well as internal. When the mind is fixed on a thought, idea, or perception, whether good or bad, it is the tamasic state of mind. Tamas is often defined as darkness. However, according to Samkhya, tamas does not symbolize darkness, but a condition. I'm going to highlight this part here. When the mind is fixed on a thought, idea, or perception, whether good or bad, it is the tamasic state of mind. The effort required to come to a state of being is the process of action, and so that is Rajoguna. So check that out. He's just differentiating there between form, which can be seen as tamas, and action, which can be seen as rajas, right? Or I wonder if action can also be considered force, because wherever you see threes, that's also a sign and a symbol of a certain system, a certain relationship, right? So we see threes here, and we could turn it on its side like this, right? There's also a set of threes here, multiple sets of threes, honestly. But the main set that I'm concerned with right now would be this here. Rajas, activity, force. Tamas, form. Sattva, balance. You see how these things connect? I think Sunshine Chick, you pointed this out a few sessions ago, actually. Is it true? Do the research and check and see. Okay, so the effort required to come to a state of being is the process of action, and that is Rajo Guna. Yeah, that's definitely sounding like some left pillar activity there. The building that you are looking at is in the Guna of Tamas right now, but when it was being constructed, that was the Guna of Rajas. And when the building was in the planning stage on the drawing board, the Guna was Sattva. That's another good example. Sattva is the state of inner luminosity, Rajas of inner action, and Tamas of inner conditioning. These three gunas intermingle in the unmanifest dimension, and when a being is born, gunas come along with the basic instincts. Okay, so Alicia M., honestly, this is, I think this is a great definition of these three qualities, and I can start to already see where he's going as far as karma is concerned. Because in the unmanifest dimension, these three gunas are balanced and harmonized. But once things become manifest, they're out of balance. And nothing in nature can stay out of balance. So life and time is the process of the balancing of these gunas. The three gunas are inherent in each and every object and are identified by their manifesting karma. Sri Swamiji gives the example of a knife. A knife is an object made of metal and has a wooden base. However, its application can bring forth the three qualities of gunas of the knife or of your character. When you hold the knife in your hand, it becomes an extension of your body. A different character will manifest depending on the application of the knife. If you use it to stab and kill somebody, the use of the knife is seen as tamasic. Here, tamas relates to a negative quality. If you use it to perform surgery and save somebody's life, it depicts the sattvic quality, which supports and nourishes life. If you use a knife to chop vegetables to nourish your body, the rajasic nature is perceived. The knife is one single object, but when applied for a purpose, a quality manifests. So you're telling me that no thing in itself is good or bad? It all depends on how it's used. In the same manner, we receive this system, the body, mind, senses, intellect, and emotions, as a gift from Purusha and Prakriti, the cosmic powers responsible for creation. Purusha would represent the soul or consciousness. Prakriti represents energy, matter, and everything perceived. So he says, in the same manner, we receive this system, the body, mind, senses, intellect, and emotion, as a gift from Purusha and Prakriti, the cosmic powers responsible for creation. As part of that gift, the three gunas have also come. The gunas intermingle, mix, and merge with the four components of the operating system to create interaction of life with the world. Nefera Sakmet, greetings. Magical Apotheosis, greetings. Okay. So far, this is really good information on these gunas. Manifestation of gunas. In their cosmic state, the gunas are in a state of balance. And remember, that cosmic state he's talking about is the unmanifest, the prototype state. the seed before it's planted in the ground has all the potential of becoming what's inside its programming. So in their cosmic state, the gunas are in a state of balance. But when life manifests, one guna becomes predominant. When life manifests, one guna becomes predominant. Why does that happen? The cause is that the samskaras, or impressions that come with us as our prarabdha, fixed karmas, define the prominence of a guna. So the deep-seated impressions in our subconscious mind and in our subtle body, those impact the prominence of a specific guna. This is not just a philosophical presumption. Even science and psychology now acknowledge this. As a part of that indestructible supreme spirit, the individual spirit is also free. But when it enters the realm of Prakriti, it comes with its baggage, just as you carry a bag full of things when you travel. You carry a bag when you travel from one city to another, so wouldn't the soul, which is making an eternal journey, carry some baggage? When you are at home, you are completely free, but while traveling, you need things. The baggage of the spirit consists of the five senses and the mind. Every living being has a mind. All that differentiates a human being from other beings is that it is aware of its mind due to the faculty of intelligence, also known as buddhi. And if you guys watch that video that I uploaded and posted a link to, she really breaks down the relationship with these things. Because buddhi is the one aspect of mind that separates the human man and woman from the animal kingdom. It is due to this faculty that we experience our mind, joy, sorrow, karmas, and reactions. So when the mind and spirit enter the realm of Prakriti, they are subject to the three gunas. So remember in the last book he talked about the traveler heading towards the city of light. What he just mentioned here is that when you travel, you carry baggage. And he says that the baggage of the spirit consists of the five senses and the mind. And isn't it through the five senses and the mind that we experience life and we react to life? And as we react to everything, we're causing more subconscious impressions. So in every life, if we're doing this thing on autopilot, we're creating more and more and more baggage for this travel. And honestly, that would cause us to become more and more tamasic, which kind of makes this process more and more difficult every go round. Which is why it's so important to learn things like this, so you can start to release that baggage, so you can get up out of here. If you're ready to do that. The three gunas are perceived in the sensory associations with sense objects. They can be perceived in the samskaras as either weakness of character or strength of character. They can be perceived in swabhava as optimism, pessimism, or indifference. They can even be seen in the instincts. It keeps becoming apparent how important the information in this book is, especially just regarding the different levels of consciousness and how to identify them and even how to begin the process of coming up out of them. Take the case of passion, for example. If sattva predominates in passion, it will uplift the individual. If tamas predominates in passion, it will drag him down to the gross dimensions. If rajas is predominant, a flirtatious nature will be seen. See how that works? In the case of craving, if tamas is predominant, one becomes selfish and self-centered, right? Remember, tamas is the heavy one. So if tamas is predominant, the craving becomes selfish and self-centered. If sattva, harmonious, if the sattva is predominant, then there is no craving. There's only an understanding of the need, of the craving for fulfillment, and not an obsessive desire to acquire the object of craving. See the difference? If sattva is predominant, there is no craving. There's only an understanding of the need of the craving for fulfillment, right? So it's not that you're actually craving that thing. Subconsciously, you have a craving for fulfillment. You feel unfulfilled. So we give that fulfillment a form. We pretend that it is that we crave the cigarette or the drink, or we crave the sex, or we crave the food, or we crave some experience. In truth, we're not even craving those things. We're craving fulfillment. So when you get to a sattvic state, it's characterized by not having any more craving, but having an understanding of the need of the craving for fulfillment and not an obsessive desire to acquire the object of craving. Similarly, when sleep is tamasic or sattvic, its quality is different. Even fears and insecurities have tamasic, sattvic, and rajasic qualities. The gunas mix with the basic structures of life to give birth to a new identity, expression, and experience. If you are in a depressed, anxious, or agitated frame of mind, and the thoughts are negative, it indicates a conditioning of the mind which is tamasic and destructive, for yourself and for others too. That was also in Power versus Force. The lower levels of consciousness are self-destructive. And isn't that what Thomas is? The destroyer and the transformer, destruction. And of course, when I say the lower levels of consciousness, I'm specifically referring to levels of shame, remaining predominantly in levels of shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. These are all destructive to self and to others because they help to manifest mind frames of disturbance. But just like you said there in that first sentence, if you are in a depressed, anxious, or agitated frame of mind and the thoughts are negative, it indicates a conditioning of mind which is tamasic and destructive for yourself and for others too. If there's joy and happiness in life and the world looks bright and shiny, then that happiness and optimism is not only personal, the sattva expression is not only personal, you also project it outwards. You see that? So it's not just about, oh, love and light, let me pretend to be happy all the time. That's not what we're talking about here. There's no room for pretend here because this is all personal. Who are you pretending for, right? There's no fake it till you make it. This isn't for other people to see. This is about your personal experience. Because with this science, the laboratory is your experience, not other people. It's your experience. So to move forward with this, you literally have to do the work as it is said. Or rather, I think I might have to evolve that statement into be the work. You're going to have to be the work. The gunas control and direct the senses and the mind. The expression of the predominance of the gunas is through the mind. The mood of the mind depicts the three gunas. When the mind associates with a guna, the thinking alters, the expressions alter. The gunas first manifest in the mind, and then in the behavior and action. Got that? The gunas first manifest in the mind, and then in the behavior and action. Louis says those thought forms and agitated aura can be contagious too. Absolutely. And that's why we see so much of it. Because so many people have caught that virus. That's the real pandemic, honestly. That's probably the pandemic that causes pandemics. You're absolutely right. I'ma fuck with you. Desire, action, and mood. Naturally natured, peace, good evening. Desire, action, and mood. The first function of the mind is creation of desire. Without desire, the mind cannot exist. That sounds pretty important. And remember what he said previously about sattva? With sattva, there is no craving. There's only an understanding of the need of the craving for fulfillment and not an obsessive desire to acquire any object. You see that? What he says here is the first function of the mind is creation of desire. The mind, without desire, the mind cannot exist. Analyze your everyday situations and you will find that behind every action, there was and is a desire. Desire is the first expression of the mind, and it is self-oriented. I wish to attain, I wish to receive, I wish to acquire. This is my need, right? Isn't this why, I feel bold enough to say, isn't this why all of us have gotten into this business here? I know for me, years ago, this is the whole reason I got into the Goetia, working with these different spirits and things like that. I wish to attain, I wish to receive, I wish to acquire. This is my need. This is what gets us started on this path. That's why it's called low magic. But the thing is, some of us don't stay there. Some of us use that to learn the necessary lessons and pick up where we left off and then transcend that. But you'll see that most people, they get stuck there because that's their level of development. They're still here. I wish to attain, I wish to receive, I wish to acquire. This is my need. And that's okay. There's no room for like a judgment call on that. But there's a room to understand yourself and why you're no longer there or why you're moving out of that mindset. With desire comes action, the second stage. When the desire is clear in the mind, actions performed are aimed at obtaining the desired results. Thus, life is a play of desires and action, desire and performance. There's nothing beyond the two. From the basic to the imaginative, we desire things that are our need and that are our fantasies. Desires can be actual and also unattainable ambitions, but nevertheless, they exist. Desires indicate the mood, the state of mind according to the guna predominant in the mind at that particular time. The environment can create a stirring desire. If you walk into a nightclub, the senses will begin to sway to the beat of the music. The mind will be stimulated, and to further stimulate yourself, you will head for the bar. What you know about that, Niranjanananda? The stimulation is the feeling of pleasantness, intoxication, letting go of hang-ups, the need to loosen up. On the other hand, if you walk into a peaceful environment, your senses will become still. How many of you guys notice that when people come into your presence, their behavior changes and adjusts to accommodate you? Or, if not that, how many of you notice that when you are around certain people, your behavior and your thought changes to accommodate with them? By entering into the fold of an environment, the mental attitude changes as the sensorial inputs in the brain are different. The environment plays a role in the expression of a qualitative behavior. It creates the necessary mood for that behavior to manifest, whether positive or destructive. In a gloomy, depressive, negative environment, one's actions will not have the clarity that one needs to have in life. The mind, thoughts, and actions will become negative and lose contact with all the beautiful associations in the past. In such a state, all the help that is received has no meaning. Another reason why you can't save everybody, because their environment might not be conducive to their healing. This affects performance. It affects the intellect, emotions, senses, and perception. If one is optimistic and happy, that will also affect the mind, the senses, and the emotions. Therefore, always be happy. Always see the positive in everything because you have the ability to do so. I had a friend once upon the time, and she was very intelligent, and we used to have very deep conversations. But the progress that we had was very short-lived because the environment that she lived in was not conducive to this kind of growth. I mean, think about it. If you're surrounded, if everyone that you come in contact with is negative, massive, selfish, petty, like if everyone around you is displaying these qualities, it's extremely difficult to cultivate a positive sattvic state of being. It's extremely difficult. It's not impossible, but it's going to take a whole lot more energy than if you removed yourself from that situation and found yourself in a different environment. But you know what? That's karma. That's karma. I don't know what happened with this person before we met, but environment is extremely important because it does play an effect on how you behave and how you think. And we know this. We know this. But its effects are that it may be deeper than we might have previously thought. Most of the time, people see the negative. However, just as you are able to see the negative, there is the possibility to see the positive as well. If you identify with the negative, you will distance yourself from enjoyment of life. And if you identify with the positive, you'll gain a better, clearer understanding of situations. In my own guru's life, I have seen that no matter what the situation was, he always had a constructive outlook. In the worst of situations, he saw the best of possibilities, how to improve that situation. That is the character which indicates that one has transcended the influence of moods of the senses, mind, and emotions. Do you guys know anybody who gets anxious and worked up over every little thing? They might see something and suddenly go into a panic, suddenly get anxiety, suddenly start freaking out. Or do you know somebody who remains calm and always sees the positive and always has a clear head, able to move forward no matter what happens? It takes strength to do that. I was watching a video earlier and this guy was talking about how, I think it was a mortal technique, I might be wrong. I posted it on my Instagram story. But he was talking about how as parents we have to lie to our children. He's saying, like, say for example, if there is turbulence on a plane and it starts, rumbling and grumbling, you're going to look at your child and say, it's okay, everything's fine, don't worry, right? You're going to be the one that at least has the appearance of having this positive outlook. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what's about to happen. You don't know what's going on, but you tell your child that so that they'll calm their nerves, right? Because before you can handle the situations, it's going to be helpful that the people that depend on you can be steady and be calm, right? So that they won't interfere with you handling the situation. But regardless of what's going to happen, if you keep that positive outlook, you're going to have a better chance of finding a solution. If everybody's panicking and freaking out, that's not a good look at all. You feel me? That's not a good look at all. Somebody has to be strong. Somebody has to be the rock. Somebody has to be balanced enough to find the way to the solution. I know a lot of people trip on the government lying to us, but the same type of thing is going on there. The majority of people could not handle the truth because 85 to 90% of people aren't spiritually, mentally, or emotionally mature enough to deal with this kind of thing. So of course they're going to say that everything is handled, everything's under control, everything's all right. The same way that a parent would lie to a child. I'm 1,000,000% positive if we were completely open to the reality of what was going on in the world, people would be in a state of chaos and panicking and freaking out because we're not geared towards finding those kind of solutions. But anyways, no matter what's going on, it's always best to have a constructive outlook. Because when you have that constructive outlook, you can see clearly. You can find the solution when it appears. But if you're anxious and you're freaking out, you're not going to see it. And I know it takes effort, it takes strength, but try your best. Try your best. Stray Panther, peace, bro. Caesar, greetings. A desire manifests in the mind, and that is the beginning of karma. The desire is connected to the perception of an object and its acquisition. That's important. That's important. It's so important, I'm going to highlight it here. He says the desire manifests in the mind, and that is the beginning of karma. The desire is connected to the perception of an object and its acquisition. There is planning, a program is made, and the person prepares to follow it. That's how we do it, right? When we want something, if we desire it, it starts to become a little bit of an obsession. Then we begin planning to get it, right? And as we plan, we make a program to follow. And then we follow that program and we get it. That's the beginning of karma. Why? Because all this whole process, it creates patterns. It creates a type of energy, right? There's planning, a program is made, and then we follow it, and then we get it. So within that whole process, a new desire is created, or a couple of new desires are created. So by the time we receive that thing, we've already planted the seeds for other desires. And this is how karma continues to propagate. The more that you desire, and the more that you plan and start to figure it out, right, you're strengthening that myelin sheath in the brain, and the process only continues and gets more and more complex. Have you ever known anybody to strive for something and get it and stop there? That's not human nature. Once we get that thing, we want something else. That's how karma works. That's how it continues. And check this out. Those desires, they start from the deep subliminal subconscious impressions, right? Whether it came from our childhood or whether it came from a past life. But all these desires actually come from a deeply imprinted experience from the past. And if we never neutralize that, desire continues. However, if a different guna is dominant in the mind, that effort is washed away because the nature of karma changes. If someone is having a bad day, even if you give them the simplest of tasks, he will mess it up. But if the head is clear and at peace, the most complicated task will be accomplished dexterously. When the guna and mind join, a mood is created. And when a karma is added to this, it will be performed according to the mood. Don't you just love how he's able to break this down into literally an algorithm? It's not an algorithm with numbers, it's a verbal algorithm where you can literally see the process happening, right? First you learn what a desire is, you learn what a guna is, learn what the mind is. When the mind and a guna join together, right? Mind times guna equals mood. Now, mind times guna plus karma, right? That affects the mood. It's almost like a mathematical equation. So gunas are variables that can be added to anything within Prakriti. Anything, including astrology, including the planets, right? And I've showed this many times. You know, the 12th house is considered a tamasic house, right? The 11th house is considered a rajasic house. This is astrology. The 4th house is considered a sattvic house. Even down to the different planets. For example, like I said here, Venus can be seen as very rajasic. Mars is rajasic. The sun is a sattvic planet. So that's the thing with the Vedic information. They categorize everything in such a way that it's like a, it's like a algebraic type of equation. I think that's a great way to think about it. And an easy way to calculate what's happening and deduce, what can be used to solve any problems. Jakari Base says, Bobby Hemmett said karma don't hold no water. If it did, the YTN would be dead. Karma is a lie. It's the program of the matrix. There's only causality. Absolutely. Karma is the program of the matrix, and that's why we're studying it. Aldiki says, I promise we have an employee like that. She comes in every time. She works and be down and complaining, then her day always ends up dramatic. Absolutely. It continues, it continues, it continues. Oh, damn. Will Trent says, that's me, LOL. Went to the store for withdrawal, left with a court date. Damn. I love it. I love it. Let's keep going. Fruits of karma. When the gunas combine with the operating system of life, they manifest in the form of actions and give three different kinds of results. The action which comes with the positive quality of sattva will give a positive result. The action which comes with the negative quality of tamas will bring forth a negative result. And the third is mishrit, a mixed result. It can go both ways, towards upliftment or towards suppression. We only aspire for the good, but we don't know how to be good. For us, being good means doing the right thing externally. But in yoga, being good means doing the right thing inside the mind. Very key. It's not about the external. It's about what's going on the internal. And this is where a lot of people get confused about this subject because they think it's observable outside actions. You can't judge what someone else has going on because you don't know what's going on inside of them while they're doing the action. To really understand the higher levels of spirituality, you've got to get out of your opinions and how you feel about something. Because if you're unable to do that, you're under a rajasic mind state. It's going to be colored based on your passionate opinion, as opposed to being clear as it is. If the mind is doing the right thing, then the performance will also be right. Exponents of karma yoga say that one should strive for the completion of an action, such each action being a creative one, done with perfection, and there should be no expectation of a result. I love it. I lost my place. However, if you look at the realities of life, no one is evolved enough to deny the results, the fruit of action. Whenever there is any action, there is a natural craving for a outcome or result. Whenever there is any action, there is a natural craving for a better outcome or result. Even while it is said not to expect results, just keep on doing your duty. In reality, we are all expecting results, right? It is one thing for Lord Krishna to say in the Bhagavad Gita that you have the right to perform karma, but you do not have the right to its result. But as an individual, you cannot make that statement. With what authority do you say it? Have you lived what you believed in? A human being expects results. Even a spiritual aspirant expects results. If one does japa, one wants to have an experience. If one practices meditation, one wants darshan. You have expectations in your own life, but tell others to live without expectations of results. Because it is written in the Gita, it is what the gurus and the teachers say, right? Uh-oh. Every being expects results. In the normal human state, every individual expects results. It's not wrong to expect results. The only thing that is wrong is the hankering for an obsession with the result. Very key, right? Very key. Right? Ideally, yeah, we want to do stuff without expecting a result, right? I used to make videos about working with these spirits and saying one of the keys to its success is doing it without a lust for the results, and that holds true. But the whole reason you're doing it is for a result, right? So the thing is, you can do it, but it's your human nature to expect a result. But here's the thing. Don't sit there and get obsessed with the damn result. That literally will ruin your work. That'll ruin your work, whether it's spiritual or even in the real world, right? Doing all that work to get a girl's phone number and then you're blowing up her phone every 5 minutes, that it's a wrap. It's done. That's not how you do it. You can sit here and be obsessed with the result. You behave in such a way, of course you want a result, but you don't get hung up on it because that kills the process. When we are obsessed, suffering and pleasure both come. When pleasure comes, we are attracted towards that which is pleasurable. Sukhanushayi Raga. We are attracted to those conditions, situations, and objects through which we can experience happiness and pleasure. It's true. We run towards pleasure. This is called Raga, or attraction, right? Running towards pleasure. This is called Raga. Alternately, we feel aversion, dvesha, towards conditioning which causes suffering. We don't want to suffer because we are fearful of suffering. So even this whole thing that I used to talk about years ago in my earlier videos, and even psychology talks about this, we have dual operating system. We run towards pleasure and we run away from pain, right? I've been saying that. You've heard that from other people all the time. We run towards pleasure, run away from pain. That's the basis of our action. How sophisticated you think you are. Even that comes from the Vedic. Even that comes from this Vedic information. Raga and dvesha. And the first time that those of you who've been on my channel for a while probably have seen that is in Ch2. So we talk about the symbolism of prana shakti. Well, that's what her first two arms represent. That noose represents raga, attraction, right? When we chase these pleasures, we chase pleasure. It's symbolized as a noose because we can often become strangled by chasing pleasure. And then dvesha, aversion, running away from pain, that's that goad, right? That's what they used to poke elephants to move, right? We're running away from things, right? It's that poking right there. So this is a fundamental aspect of human nature. And all these things that she's holding represents aspects of humanity that she has transcended, right? So at the very top, she's transcended chasing pleasure and running from pain. This is an entity, an expression, an algorithm that has transcended the human condition, right? In the very last hand, she's holding an upside skull. That represents her mastery over ego. The skull represents ego. She's got it flipped upside down. She's mastered that. These represent the five senses, the five bodies, right? The five sensory, the five tattvas, the five elements, all the collection of fives. And this bow represents dharana, focus, concentration, right? So look at how those two go. You can take any one of those arrows and focus it to a single point and use that for the work instead of those things using you. She has weaponized, or rather used as tools, the experience of humanity. Then, of course, she's got that triad, this, what do you call that thing? A trident. Can anybody guess what that represents? Because we're talking about threes. If all fives represent the five elements, the five bodies, the five worlds, what do the threes represent? What do the threes represent? Because we already went over this. Matter of fact, we're currently going over this. Thank you, Dark Femi. Somebody's listening. The threes represent the Gunas. So she's even transcended the Gunas, which means by default, she exists beyond the manifest dimension, right? She exists beyond nature. She's mastered the Gunas, mastered the five senses and the five elements, mastered running from pain, mastered running towards pleasure. This is why this is the entity that we come into contact while doing Ch2, because it shows that's the goal of this process of going through that meditation repeatedly. You're literally teaching your subconscious mind to transcend this human condition. Now, of course, it's not going to happen after the first time. But if you've been doing this ritual repeatedly and consistently, you're going to notice you're starting to form a level of vairagya or non-attachment, right? Very key. Like, this stuff is very intricately placed together. It's not just something somebody drew one time and just guessed at it. All right. So the whole reason I brought that up is because that's what he's talking about here. All right. He says, we are attracted to those conditions, situations, and objects through which we can experience happiness and pleasure. That's called raga, or attraction. Alternatively, we feel aversion, dvesha, towards conditions which cause suffering. We don't want to suffer because we are fearful of suffering, right? We're afraid of, nobody wants pain. I think somebody said in this chat here yesterday or 2 days ago, I'm not afraid of death or dying. I'm just afraid of the pain that I might experience in dying. And that's very common. Some people are afraid of death because they don't know what to expect. But those of us who kind of have an idea, we're not afraid of the death. We're afraid of hurting, right? Nobody wants to suffer. That sucks. I mean, you know, there are some people who have trained themselves to get pleasure out of that, but I'm not talking about them. All right, so he says, there is rejection of the conditions which cause suffering. So the hankering is for the result from which we feel pleased, because we believe it will make us happy. And if the result is seen as displeasing, we avoid it. Big reason why a lot of people don't stay consistent with their practice. One has to accept success and failure both. Often when one fails, one says it was the will of God. And when one succeeds, one says it was his own doing, right? When things go right, yeah, I did that. When things go wrong, oh, well, the Lord, you know, the Lord has his mysterious ways, right? No man knows the day or the hour, brother. To speak of your success as your doing and achievements indicates a tamasic frame of mind. And when you say you failed because of God's will, you are indicating a non-understanding. Damn, son. Tamasic condition of life, as you are not willing to take on the responsibility for your actions. Most people are infected with that mindset. So accept both. Just as we accept day and night as natural events of life, success and failure are also natural events of living. Have the expectation of a benevolent, auspicious, and fruitful result, but don't hanker after it. Don't get obsessed about it. If you get obsessed, you lose your creativity, your awareness, and acquire tunnel vision. Check that out. Have we not experienced that? If you get obsessed, you lose your creativity, your awareness, you acquire tunnel vision. That sounds like falling in love, don't it? Becoming obsessed with the feeling that you bring out in yourself when you think about a certain person. Interesting. Thank you, Society Ejects. Society Ejects says hankering definition: a strong desire to have or do something, hankering for and obsession with the result. If you try to look at the world through a pipe, your vision will be limited. That is tunnel vision. In obsession, the mind focuses only on one thing. In depression, people think gloomily. In elation, they think only of happiness. All these indicate tunnel vision. Gerald Sombret says tunnel of love. Man, I'm about tired of that tunnel. I'm tired of this church. Okay, all right. This is a meaty chapter. Meaty. That's fine. Since this is a meaty chapter, give me a quick break. I will BRB. Don't go anywhere. When we are successful, and we will be, we'll have a real chance at this new world order, not the law of the jungle. R.I.P. George Bush. He tried his best. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Oh yeah. Got that sparkling water. Because regular water is not glittery enough. All right. Let us continue. Let us tomato. What's good, Sankofa Sound? Peace. All right, so let's continue where we were going about the pleasure and the pain and not having an obsession for the result, which is quite an important line there. So, when you perform a karma, do it well. Whatever you have to get in return, you will get. If you drink water, your thirst is bound to be quenched. You don't drink a bucket of water, one glass suffices. The circumstances come and go. Expectations are always there in one form or another. For my life, I wish to be able to walk the path that I have been guided to walk. That is the expectation of a result from myself. What needs to be handled is attachment to a result. Go on performing your karmas with the awareness and do not pay attention to gains and losses. When you're able to balance yourself between gain and loss, that will be the biggest balance of life. Sri Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Siddhya Siddhya Samo Bhutva Samatvan Yoga Uchyate. Balanced in success and failure, evenness of mind is called yoga. For those of you who are with me on this Kabbalah stuff, what relationship does that remind you of on the Tree of Life? What does that remind you of? He says, what needs to be handled is attachment to result. Go on performing your karmas with awareness and do not pay attention to your gains and losses. When you're able to balance yourself between gain and loss, that will be the highest balance of life. Don't that sound exactly like a line in Ladder of Lights, right? When you're able to balance yourself between gain and loss. And I'm pretty sure this is in the Doth chapter 2. See, this is why I love having all these books at the same time, because you start to see these connections in between. Let me see where it was. So I believe it was on page 154. Yep, 153 and 154. Check out what he says in the Doth chapter. Straight Panther, I'm on page 26. Page 26. Okay, thank you, Society Ejects. Gerald Sombright says, not having an obsession with results sounds kind of tantric, right? In all kinds of ways. But look at what he's saying in Ladder of Lights, right? What relationship between spheres does this remind you of? He said, here's the exact sentence that he says. When you're able to balance yourself between gain and loss, that will be the highest balance of life. So what's he saying right here in the Ladder of Lights? He says the symbol of the sword bridge across the abyss points out plainly enough that only perfectly balanced forces are able to cross the abyss, are able to cross the chasm, right? He says the edge of the sword along we must proceed over the abyss is precisely central between the two pillars or extremities. That is the perfect path at the exact point of balance where each opposing type of energy meets instability, right? The middle way. Look at what he says here on the next page. He says, this is only possible with considerable training, great courage, and intense powers of concentration. Unwavering attention directed at a single point ahead was the secret of maintaining balance under such conditions, and is also the secret of crossing the abyss successfully. Basically, he's talking about in order to cross the bridge of Doth, in order to cross the abyss, you've got to have balanced between gains and losses. Remember the upside down T? The balance, the harmony between Chesed and Gibura is the path across the abyss. Remember when Christ walked across the water? Jupiter did too, but he needed some help, right? You have to have the harmony. And he said, keeping your focus, your dharana concentrated only ahead, not worried about the rest of the stuff. Balance between loss and gain. That's the way that you get across the abyss. What's he say here? Go on performing your karmas with awareness and do not pay attention to gains and losses. When you're able to balance yourself between gain and loss, that will be the highest balance of life. I don't know. Maybe y'all don't see the connection, but I definitely see it. I see it all up and down and throughout. Balanced in success and failure, evenness of mind is called yoga. Yoga fire, yoga flame. Whether you succeed or fail in your effort, assume the attitude of a witness and allow the state of samatvam, equanimity, to come to your life. That state has been called yoga. When the mind is balanced and contented, you feel happy. Free yourself from identifying with success and failure. Continue to have the expectation of results, but do not be obsessed with or without them. When you expect a result, it becomes a goal for you. If you want to become a good sannyasin, I am expecting results. However, this expectation becomes the goal and purpose of life, which enables me to make effort. If I renounce that expectation and say, whatever has to happen will happen, I will never be able to walk the path. There will be too many diversions. So whoever comes into this world should walk with an expectation, and success or failure should not divert them. Check that out. Have your expectations. Have a focus. But check this out. Here's the thing that most people cannot do or haven't learned to do yet. Walk with an expectation, and success or failure should not divert them. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. Keep playing the game. When I play Fortnite, I'm playing because it's fun. Sure, I'd love to win. I'd love to get that dub. I'd love to get that crown and stun on them, right? Because they have a little emote where you can show how many wins you had, right? I got about 30 or so. But, I lose way more times than I win, and it's still great. I can still play it all the time because I'm enjoying myself, I'm hanging out with my friends virtually, and it's a good time. But likewise, he says, so whoever comes into this world should walk with an expectation, for sure, and success or failure should not divert them. Greetings, Waking Beauty. Okay, so let's continue. He's talking about the middle path, and I expect this to be very Kabbalistic as well. The spiritual traditions say, keep to the middle path. Buddha advocated the middle path. He said, don't be a rightist, don't be a leftist. Not in the political sense. I wonder what other sense he might be referring to. Don't be a rightist, don't be a leftist. He says not in the political sense. But walk the middle path. Don't walk on the right side of the road or on the left side. Be in the middle from where you can see both sides. I wonder what the good Swami is referring to when he says that. Oh, other way. I wonder what he's referring to when he says that. The Upanishads have defined this middle path as being as sharp as the razor's edge. Okay, now don't that also sound like the path of Doth that I just read in the Ladder of Lights? Let's see what page that was on again. Let's see. Chesed. Gibara. Okay. Yeah, so many times in the chapter of Doth, he's talking about how it's the bridge across is like a sword. It's literally the razor's edge. He says, the edge of the sword along which we must proceed over the abyss is precisely central between the two pillars or extremities. You see that? This is on page 153 in the chapter about Doth. He says, the symbol of the sword bridge across the abyss points out plainly enough that only perfectly balanced forces are able to cross the chasm. Thank you, Aldiki. The edge of the sword along which we must proceed over the abyss is precisely central between the two pillars or extremities. That is the perfect path at the exact point of balance where each opposing type of energy meets in stability. You see that? Right there on the text. And what does Swami Niranjananda say? Don't walk on the right side, don't walk on the left side. Be in the middle from where you can see both sides. And we just talked about the razor blade, right? The edge of the sword. He said that here. The Upanishads have defined this middle path as being as sharp as the razor's edge. You have to tread carefully, as with a little slip, you will bleed to death. So I wonder how much Upanishad reference the Kabbalah actually has. Interesting. So it says you have to tread carefully, as with a little slip you will bleed to death. This happens in life too. If you slip from your focus and are distracted, the journey stops there. Man, ain't nobody got time for that. If you slip from your focus and are distracted, the journey stops there. The intentions and motivations stagnate at that point, and you can't move forward. Where you slip to the left or to the right is where your journey ends. However, if you keep on walking carefully with awareness, maintaining your balance, maintaining your frame, equilibrium, and equipoise, then you can cover the distance of the journey. Therefore, equipoise, samatvam, is the highest quality of human life. When equipoise becomes a powerful manifesting quality in life, then harmony sets in, where one is not affected by desires, and there is no hankering, craving, or obsession for a result. What this means is that one has to change the conditioning of the mind. Even as a baby, we hanker for things. As a child and as a young adult, we desire other things. As we grow up, we understand the world in a different light. There is a process of maturity. In each state, each condition of life, one needs to understand that particular condition, that particular desire, and that particular need for the fulfillment of the expectation, right? So it's all about understanding where you're at, guys. And even still, this should make it very extremely clear that it's not about anybody else. You're out of your lane when you're worried about somebody else's walk and someone else's journey. If you got time to talk about what somebody else is doing like that, you're falling off your path, right? I don't have time to sit here and worry about what somebody's not doing or being hypocritical about or whatever. I don't have time to sit here and break down somebody else's journey. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Where I'm going, they're not going. I'm saying that for me also, as a suggestion for you. I know it can be entertaining to analyze other people, but are you doing the same to yourself, right? So what he's saying here is we got these different states. As a baby, we crave things. As a child and a young adult, we crave and desire different things. I remember my parents bought me Pokemon Blue. I wanted Pokemon Red because that was the only way to get all the Pokemon. So I'll literally be begging my parents for probably years to get that game. And then guess what? Yellow came out. So I had to have all three, red, blue, yellow, just so I can get all the little Pokemon and the Pikachu to follow me, right? That's not something I crave now. I have the money now to get it for myself, but that's not something I'm gonna get, right? As a baby, we crave things. As a young adult, we crave things. When we grow up, we crave things, right? As we grow up, we view the world differently. As we gain more experience, we understand the world in a different light. There is a process of maturity. In each condition of life, one needs to understand that particular condition. Know where you're at, right? Know where you're at. In the map, you got to know where you're at. Because here's the thing. You can know the destination, but if you don't know where you're at, you don't know if it's going to take you 5 years or 5 lifetimes. You don't know. So it's super important to know what particular state and condition you're in right now. All right? And that particular need for the fulfillment of that expectation. The hankering for fulfillment, check that out. The hankering for fulfillment is the cause of happiness or suffering, causing a self-oriented awareness. So it's never even the thing. It was never the Pokemon Red or the Pokemon Blue or the Pokemon Yellow. What I didn't understand is that my human needs were being hijacked by advertising. First of all, I didn't need any of them damn Pokemon. As a matter of fact, I never had those Pokemon. I don't have them now. I don't have the game or the Game Boy. I don't even know what happened to it at this point. I couldn't tell you where it is. But what I needed as a child was for, I had the cognitive dissonance, right? I had an empty puzzle. And as young people or as human beings in general, we want completion. So when someone tells us that there are 151 Pokemon and they show us how to catch one, naturally we want to catch them all. We gotta catch them. Hell, the theme song programs it into us. Gotta catch them all. We got to, right? So that desire, that need for fulfillment, it's not that I had to have the Pokemon. I just needed to have that desire fulfilled. I needed that internal desire of completion fulfilled. But if I stayed down that path, I would continue having that craving, because guess what? They didn't stop at yellow. They kept coming out. Hell, I think now they got Pokemon light and dark and gold and diamond and silver and all these different, like, it's not gonna stop. It's not ever gonna stop. And that's how it happens. That's how it works. There's always something new for our craving to focus on. But please understand that the higher perspective of this is that it's not the thing itself. It never was the Pokemon. It was my inner need for fulfillment. So until you address that inner need for fulfillment, you are always going to create things to desire. It's never the thing itself. When you quench this thirst for the need for fulfillment, all the shiny object syndrome begins to disappear, right? When you quench the need for fulfillment, the shiny object, the chasing the shiny, the next new thing, it disappears. So many people come into this and they're like, they will literally sit here and go from tarot, hardcore, then bounce to Kabbalah, then bounce to Goetia, then bounce to astrology, then bounce and keep bouncing left and right, because somebody came up with this new idea for them. Hey, y'all know what's 13 signs out there? It's 13 signs in astrology. Now all of a sudden you on astrology. Hey y'all, did y'all know that you can melt your chakras? Now all of a sudden you on chakras. Hey y'all, did you know that the demiurge is coming? And the archons, they eating everybody. Now you're jumping over to that. So it's first of all, you don't even know what any of these words mean. So you can't be chasing what the science is. You're chasing an inner need for fulfillment. And until you solve that inner need for fulfillment, they're going to keep stringing you along, bouncing you left and right. Hey, y'all know the metaverse is coming out. And Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, they trying to trap your soul in the Oculus Quest, right? And you're going to keep doing that. Now, of course, I'm not saying that this is the thing that isn't good, because if you're paying attention, you're going to start picking up game on each one of these spots that you're bouncing around to. But what typically happens with most people is you get stuck in that cycle of bouncing, and you never get anywhere. You just know a bunch of buzzwords, right? And you found some things to trigger your emotions, but you didn't learn anything. Understand that this is all about deep, subconscious, subliminal impressions. You've got an internal desire that needs to be solved. That's the cause of this karma. That's the cause of this bouncing to and fro. You dig? Louis says, jack of all trades, but the master of none. Absolutely. You know all these cool hip buzzwords. You know the current boogeyman. You know right now Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Metaverse is the boogeyman. Well, last week, wasn't it Bill Gates and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep changing. Meanwhile, these people will never know your name or care, but you're so wrapped up in what they got going on. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Sankofa Sound says you string yourself out. All choice and free will based. Man, it's called freedom, D-U-M-B. Yeah, I love it. Freedom. Just last week it was Bill Gates, and now it's Elon Musk. Like, you're just gonna keep blaming millionaires. You're gonna keep blaming billionaires. Meanwhile, your behavior hasn't changed, and you're still using the products that they've created daily. Come on now. Let's have some maturity. Because like what he was saying a little bit earlier, when something goes wrong, oh, that's the Lord's will. Oh, that's the Lord's will. But when something goes right, yeah, I did that. I'm the goat out here, right? Let's continue. My goats and goatettes. And I can talk that shit. I can talk about all this because guess what? I was there too. I did all that. I was blaming the Illuminati. I was blaming the Freemasons. I was doing all that. I was blaming the reptilians. I was literally doing all that. But guess what? I got wise. I learned about myself. I learned the game. It's just a game. So yeah, I can talk shit about that. That's the Lord's will. God is good. Amen. Moby says, I got someone texting me right now talking about Trump. Come on now. We need Trump. Biden. Who's the president? Byron. Oh man, Gerald Sombright says they'd be on Instagram complaining about Mark Zuckerberg. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. You don't see like the foolishness in that? The irony? The reptilian Mason, right? Jeez Louise. And you know that it's hard for me to really because I can tell in my comments when people still hold on to those mindsets. I can't judge them because like I said, I've been there too, so I know what it's like. And you just know it's real. You just know it's reptilian. Hell, I convinced myself I saw one time. You just know the reptilians are out there trying to eat you. You just know the Freemasons are doing this and that. You just know the Illuminati. You just know it, but when you really think about it, you don't know anything. Somebody gave you that narrative and showed you a couple of pictures, and you just went with it because it felt like it was right, you know? But you've never seen a reptilian. You don't know any Freemasons personally. You don't even know what the Illuminati is. You don't know nothing about it. All you see is a bunch of celebrities covering up one eye. Like, you don't know what that means. Like, anybody can program you to believe anything with a little tiny bit of evidence and an emotional stimulation. So you get that little bit of fear going. Do you ever know? Well, I don't know if they still do it because I don't watch these videos, but back in my day when they had these Illuminati reptilian videos, they played that same damn song. It was the song from Requiem for a Dream. Yo, they played that same song in every single conspiracy video. I don't think y'all understand. Like every single video. I don't know who put the memo out for that to be the conspiracy theory song, but golly, I'm talking about for years. That was the one track on YouTube for reptilians, Illuminati, and Freemason. Looking back on it, that thing is so funny. Me and my brother used to gather around the computer when this dude, Hashem's Film was the channel back in like 2006 maybe. He was like one of the first people making all these videos about it. And we used to gather around just to catch that new video as soon as it came out because he was like, they're going to ban my channel. They're going to take me down. So make sure you get this information. Man, it was entertainment. It was all entertainment. Society Eject says, 2 Timothy 4:3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. Yeah, I'm going to write that verse down because I'm going to have to use that one again. Thank you. 2 Timothy 4:3. 2 Timothy 4:3. Write that verse down. 2 Timothy 4:3. I know y'all know that song too. Straight Panther says Alex Jones twerks to that song. Louis says, remember Zeitgeist. I remember Zeitgeist. But it was good because those videos brought out a lot of awareness. And honestly, it got me to where I am now. Those videos broke me out of my little conditioning, right? I couldn't see the world the same after that. So it served its purpose, but it's still some people stuck there. It's still some people stuck there. Let's continue though. So, in each state, each condition of life, one needs to understand that particular condition, that particular desire, and that particular need for the fulfillment of the expectation. The hankering for fulfillment is the cause of happiness or suffering, causing a self-oriented awareness. People are so self-oriented that many times they reject and hide from their own weaknesses as well as their own light. If there's anything that a human being is afraid of in this world, it is their own luminosity. Well, that's one to highlight right there. Let me go over to my my music over there and change that track. That's gonna be the one song. No more mantras. No more mantras. I'm just gonna play that conspiracy theory song. I know there's a 10-hour version out there. But yeah, if there is anything that a human being is afraid of in this world, it is their own luminosity. All desire luminosity, but when confronted with luminosity, they say, enough. I seen that too. I seen that too. Will Trent says we putting that on the mixtape. Look, it's gonna be a 10-track mixtape with 10 different beats sampling that one song. I think that'd be a cool project. Shoot, I think we can make it work. Get 10 different producers to sample that one track and then make a mixtape of it. There's an idea for some of y'all. Oh my gosh. And then it wasn't even like talking. It was just text on the screen with spooky pictures. So like as the music ramped up, then they started introducing pictures of the reptilians and the gray aliens and people doing the Freemason signs. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this. If there is anything that a human being is afraid of in this world, it's their own luminosity. All desire luminosity, but when confronted with luminosity, they say, enough. It happened to Arjuna. He said to Krishna on the battlefield, show me your cosmic form. When Krishna showed him the cosmic form, Arjuna said, please, please, come back to your normal form. I like that one better. I can identify with that. I cannot identify with your cosmic form. I can't identify with your luminosity. I can identify with you when I see you as myself. Imagine what Krishna turned into for him to freak out like that. That man said, please go back to a human shape. Please. That's not what I'm trying to see. Be not afraid. I'm sorry, I cannot be not afraid. That's too much. It's too much. Imagine what he looked like. He probably looked like some kind of intense, inverted, upside down, fractalized image completely surrounding him. Yeah, I'd probably freak out too. That man said, please. Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it. I can dig it. We all say we want it, but when we're faced with it, please, please. Right. I've been there and I've seen it happen to others. The good thing is the more that you return to that state, the less intense and terrifying. Will Trent says, I'm trying to see though. Hey man, we all said that. We all say that. Sankofa Sound says turned into an off-venom. Yeah. I'm gonna have to share that playlist of those fractal videos that I showed. It's so fascinating, man. So fascinating. Oh my goodness, I love it. All right, let's keep going. Society Eject says I watched one last night. Yeah, there's one specifically that I swear that this has got to be what the Ophanim look like. It's like this really holy looking. I can't even describe it, man. These things are literally indescribable. All you can say is a fractal. Sankofa Sound says shit and giggles turns to Alien versus Predator. Right, right. Everybody wants it until it happens. Make it stop. Make it stop. Oh. Yeah, you think they look like cute unicorns. What I saw almost made me lose some, well, I ain't even gonna say. What I saw was quite terrifying, but I knew what it was. Anyways, let's keep going. I can identify with your I can't identify with your luminosity. I can identify with you when I see you as myself. Naturally, nature says like a machine elf. Exactly. Precisely. The Gunas associate with karmas and give birth to the experience of joy and sorrow. We associate joy and sorrow with success and failure. To find a balance between the two is yoga. He said that again, and repetition means it's pretty important, right? Because what did the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali say in verse number 2? He described yoga as he defined yoga as well. He said the restraint of the modifications of the mind stuff is yoga, right? Yoga is the restraint of the modification of the mind stuff. Controlling your own mind is yoga. Look at this other definition. To find balance between success and failure is yoga. So it would seem that success and failure would cause modifications to the mind stuff. The chasing of pleasure and pain would cause modifications to the mind stuff. So we'd have to control our reactions, our intense reactions to success and failure. We have to find balance. That's what mind control is. That's what yoga is. Man. If there is inner balance in success and failure of karmas, it is karma yoga. If there is inner balance in the success and failure of the intellect, it is jnana yoga, which is probably the next book that we're going to be doing. So notice there's different types of yogas. We're learning about karma yoga, and this is jnana yoga. Now here's how he defined it. And he's talking about the different types of yogas here, and this is good to understand. Because as we know by now, hopefully yoga is not just stretching and yoga pants. That's just one type of yoga, right? That's just hatha yoga. But what we're studying here is primarily jnana yoga and karma yoga. So he says here, check it out. If there is inner balance in the success and failure of karmas, that's called karma yoga. If there is inner balance in the success and failure of the intellect, that is jnana yoga. If there is inner balance in the emotions that flow towards desires and aspire to flow towards God, that's the beginning of bhakti yoga. And if you apply the principle of balance to your body, you'll be able to master hatha yoga. Balance is a state of mind. It is not a practice of yoga. So check this out. We've got a formula now. We've got a formula that is applied to the different worlds. Essentially, the path is balance between success and failure, abundance and limitation, mercy and severity. Balance between those two is what gets you across the abyss, right? Is what gets you back to the unmanifest realm, the prototype, harmonious. It was what gets you back to actual goodness, undifferentiated consciousness. But see, the balance can be applied to different fields depending on where you're currently operating. For me personally, it's jnana yoga with a dash of karma yoga, with a dash of raja yoga. For you, it might be the physical body. It might be dealing with your physical reality. You may be an earth sign more geared towards that kind of lifestyle. So hatha yoga might be the thing for you. What I'm saying is there's not like a better one or a good one. It's literally different paths to your personal inner balance. Now there's 8 different types of yoga, and he listed about 4 of them here. Karma yoga dealing with balance of success and failure. Jnana yoga dealing with balance of the intellect and success and failure. Bhakti yoga dealing with the balance of your emotional flow. Some people, hell, maybe water signs, right? We might be dealing with fire signs as karma yoga, air signs as jnana yoga, water signs as bhakti yoga, and earth signs as hatha yoga. That's what we might even be dealing with, right? So you'd want to find one that works for you. That's just one interpretation that I said there. That's not the only one. You could still be an earth sign and gravitate towards the intellect. You could still be a water sign and gravitates towards karma or hatha yoga, right? I love it. Gotta love it. All these books, I'm just so excited to get into with y'all because these books have really changed my life over the past year. And as you guys can see, like this, it's no joke. All the content in these books are like definitely something that start to change how you see the world in a positive, useful way. Not just random information like, oh, did you know that, Baphomet actually means, as above, so below, and the breast represents the feminine, and the snake is the kundalini. Like, that stuff's cool to know, but unless you know how to activate that and apply it, it's just information, just data. This stuff right here is applicable as soon as you get it. Then you can go back to Baphomet and see why that makes sense, to see why that symbol exists and how you can actually use it for yourself. Just like what I showed you, the picture of Prana Shakti, it's not that it's just a picture of a goddess, that she's a demonstration of a potential that you're reaching towards, right? She literally represents a state of existence that has transcended the limitations of manifestation, right? Likewise with the Baphomet image. It's not just something you show to spook out your Christian friends. If that's how you're doing it, you're at an elementary level, right? Shock value. Yeah, I rock with Baphomet. Why? What does that mean to you? Do you understand the symbology? Or are you just showing a spooky picture that you know is going to spook your grandma? It's got to be purpose for these things. And again, if you're using it for spooky purposes, then that's the type of karma that you're manifesting for yourself. You're activating someone else's subliminal impressions, and that's going to have an effect on you, because you know, you know. At the end of the day, balance is a state of mind. It is not a practice of yoga. Therefore, the first yogic sadhana should be acquiring balance, harmony, and equanimity. Sattva, asana, and pranayama are physical practices, right? Asana, we know, is like the different postures and poses. Pranayama is the different breathing techniques, breathing exercises. And of course, there's a ton of resources out there for these different things. Kundalini Tantra by Swami Satyananda has a great combination of all those different things. And of course, if you're really interested in asanas and the poses, this is a good little book to get. It's very thick and it contains like a ton of different yoga postures, including some very, very impossible ones. It's called Asana, 608 yoga poses, if that's what you're into. If not, then don't worry about it. But I only bring that up because that's what he has mentioned here. He says asana and pranayama are physical practices. The internal sadhana should be the effort to achieve equanimity. So even while you're doing the breathing exercises and the physical postures, while you're doing that on the outside, on the inside, the effort should be to achieve inner peace, inner balance, inner harmony, equanimity. You can do this through japa, right? Which is why we've got the malas, right? The Rudra Krash, because we repeat the mantra 108 times, right? So he said the equanimity, you can do this through japa, mantra, observation of the mind, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, kundalini yoga, kriya yoga. There are many practices. These are all methods, right? These are all methods, but there comes a time when we achieve the knowledge and attach our karma to yoga. So keep in mind, it's not simply doing the things. There's reason for it. Reason why we're here. Sankofa sounds Kemetic yoga, how to walk like an Egyptian. Walk like an Egyptian. Steph lawlessly, gypsy. Greetings, greetings. Greetings, greetings. Sunshine Chick, thank you for posting the link if anyone's interested. Because the physical postures isn't really my thing, but I know that some other people, that's something that they would gravitate towards. And that's a good resource. That way you don't have to Google all the different postures, you just have it on hand. Okay, so for karma yoga, you have to understand the mind, gunas, moods, joy, and sorrow. Sri Swamiji says that one performs karma yoga to achieve immunity from the reactive conditions of mind. Remain free of the reactions that arise in the mind due to different situations. Remain free of the reactions that arise in the mind due to different situations. Remain free of the reactions. What do you want to remain free of? Remain free of the reactions that arise in the mind due to different situations, right? You've got to have some level of self-control because the five senses are bringing in data at all times. At all times. Now you have the ability to react or to restrain the mental modifications of the mind stuff, right? This is where it comes in. It's not for the pictures and the clothes and the trinkets. It's about remaining free from the reactions that arise in your mind due to different situations. A negative emotional reaction causes you suffering. So do not become emotional even as you undergo the suffering. As soon as you become emotional, the mood changes and you will lose your clarity and enter into darkness. You see how that works? No one told you that you have to go along with it. He says, as soon as you become emotional, the mood changes and you will lose your clarity and enter into darkness. A lot of times this is difficult because we don't want to stop the process. It's almost like an addiction or drug. It's hard to stop it because we don't want to stop it. We're so used to it. We're so conditioned to it that it can be difficult for most people to change this behavior. But if you can maintain balance, then the mood will not change and you will be able to change the situation. See how that works? He says, if you can maintain balance, then the mood will not change and you will be able to change the situation. If someone slaps you, you will be able to prove that they were wrong and they will also accept it. But if you slap him back, you will only end up in a scuffle and whoever is stronger will win. How can you slap? How can you slap? How can she slap? You may or may not know that meme. Now, I know that's hard for some people to accept, right? I know it. But at the end of the day, if someone slaps you, you will be able to prove that they were wrong and they will accept it. But if you slap him back, you will only end up in a scuffle. And check this out. Whoever is stronger will win. So you're literally taking the conflict into a different realm. You're taking it to the primal realm of physical, bestial combat. And if that's not your realm, you're not gonna win in that argument. So ultimately, the emotional responses, mental responses, and sensory responses have to be managed to convert karma into yoga, right? And look at what he just said. He said the emotional responses, mental responses, and sensory responses. Don't that sound like the different types of restraint that he mentioned in the last book that we did? You see how these things are adding up together? You see how it adds up together? Good golly, Miss Molly. After acquiring balance, one frees oneself from the desire to experience pleasure and thereby also becomes free of the experience of sorrow. So check that out. After acquiring balance, this is the sign that you've acquired balance. This is the sign that you're working on yourself and you're actually moving forward on that middle path. He says, after acquiring balance, one frees oneself from the desire to experience pleasure. And it's a real thing. And you'll know when it happens. Because the things that you used to be chasing, you don't even have a need for it anymore. And if you do have the opportunity to do it, it's just not even fulfilling. It's just, I literally wasted my time doing that, right? You free yourself from the desire to experience pleasure. And at the same time that happens, you also become free of the experience of sorrow. The ups and the downs become level. Whatever the result of karma, it does not matter because you cannot control the result. Again, whatever the results of karma, it does not matter because you cannot control the result. Of course, if you perform a negative karma, you will get a negative response. And if you perform a positive karma, you will reap a positive response. But that's not what the point of this science is, right? He says, whatever the result, it does not matter because you cannot control the result. You feel me? Tina Suchil says, I broke out my mat February 1st, so this is cool. Yeah. Like I said, if the physical yoga is your thing, this would be a great book to have as a resource. I like to have resources. You know, the internet is cool, but I like to have a library of resources that I can access. The Flawlessly Gypsy says, I'm slapping back. Hey. What I think is, everything should flow together. So by the time you start getting to this point, you should also be living a lifestyle that you remove yourself from being in a situation where a slapping would occur. There may have been a time in the past where that's something that I would have to deal with, but in this day and age, that's not something I have to deal with. So you also want to structure your life like I was saying earlier, and like the book was saying, the environment is also very important. Your environment has a direct effect on what emotions you experience, your mood, your actions, your thoughts, all that stuff. So it's very difficult to be balanced, harmonious, clear, and sattvic in an environment where everyone you come into contact with has a very, very low vibe, negative attitude. Very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's going to take tremendous work to maintain and grow. The experience of life. People define karma as the law of action and reaction, right? On one hand, you'll get people say, "Oh, well, Bobby said karma ain't real. Karma don't hold water," right? From the Bobby Hemmett school. Then from the Brother Panic school, you'll get this: people define karma as the law of action and reaction. Or even worse, if you're dealing with people that are all love and light, they only focus on bad karma. Just like how Christian church teaches about the threat of going to hell. But here's what he says. The law of action and reaction is the inherent nature of things. If you bring both hands together, there's bound to be a sound. Bringing the two hands together can be construed as action, and the creation of the sound as the reaction. Action and reaction is your expression. Karma is not the law of action and reaction to which you are subject. Rather, karma is life. Okay, so it's bigger than just action and reaction. It's bigger than just cause and effect. It's deeper than that. He says here, the experiences of life are karma. The experiences of life are karma. And the knowledge of the experiences of life is jnana. The knowledge of the experience of life. There is the difference between the two. As far as reaction and action are concerned, remember that every potential cause has a potential effect inherent in it. All right, every cause has the effect in it. And that's what we're going to learn here from Samkhya Darshan. Every cause has the potential effect in it. Every cause has an effect hidden in it, just as a shadow is hidden in the body. Shadow is part of the body. It is formed from the body. But to see it, you have to be in the sunlight. You see how that works? Thus, a cause has an inherent effect, and that is karma. Action and reaction are not karmas. They are karmic behaviors, right? So to see karma as action and reaction, to see karma as cause and effect, you're only looking at it with a surface level perspective. That's not deep, and that's not spiritual. You're just seeing it from a surface level. He says action and reaction are not karmas, they're karmic behaviors. Every cause has an effect hidden in it. This body is the cause, the mind is the cause, and the effect is hidden in the body and the mind. That is the expectation, the desire, the craving. Managing karma. The spiritual tradition says improve your karma. What do they mean? To manage the karma, one needs to know the basic operating systems of life and understand which software is predominant amongst them. In the life of every individual, one vritti is more predominant than others. Remember, we talked about vrittis last month. Vrittis are the mental modifications, the reactions that you have to your five sensory experience. Those are vrittis. Those cause ripples in the pond. So in the life of every individual, one vritti is more predominant than others. I have no fears in life. I have no obsession. I have no obsessive passions in life. I don't have much craving. In my case, my problem has been the nidra vritti, sleep. In the early days, when I would go to sleep at night, my guru brothers would pick up the whole bed and leave it outside the gates of the ashram. I would be completely unaware of what was happening. On waking, I would find myself outside the gates. Sleep was my weakness. My guru used my weakness to train me. He educated me in my sleep, in Yoga Nidra. He used my weakness and converted it into a strength. So this man used to sleep so hard, they used to pick up his bed and put it outside the ashram, so he would wake up suddenly outside. Gurus do pranks as well. Interesting. But look at how they use that not as a way to like tease him or break him down, but it was used to convert his weakness into a strength. As far as the timing for waking up was concerned, I had to work on that. So I observed my sleeping pattern for some time. At first, in the attempt to change it, I set the alarm clock for 4 in the morning and said that from tomorrow, I will get up at 4 o'clock. I did that for 2 days, and on the third day, I did not hear the alarm. The same happened on the fourth day. I said to myself, this is not going to work. Sleep is going to make me tamasic, lethargic, dull, and lazy. What do I do to rectify this? This time I set the alarm at 6:50 for 1 week, 10 minutes early. Then 6:40 for another week. Then 6:30, 6:20, 6:10, until I came to 4 o'clock over a period of a few months. The conditioning was gradual. It was not based on a rigid determination to do it from tomorrow. I hope y'all picked up. He said the conditioning was gradual. This is why you don't just jump into 5 hours of meditation on your first go round. You start small. When I say, oh, do 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, that's an indication to just start small so you can get the ball rolling. Eventually, you do want to work it up to maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Sunshine Chick says, can the opposite be a problem too? People that can't get enough sleep due to stress, anxiety, etc. Absolutely. And notice what you said there. The stress and the anxiety, those are predominant vrittis. And those subliminal, deep impressions are affecting the behavior of your mind and your body. Absolutely. The conditioning was gradual. The conditioning was gradual. Now see, Louis says like an animal. Exactly right. Because the body is an animal. The human body is an animal. So you have to train it like an animal. It's going to resist just like an animal would. The conditioning was gradual. It was not based on a rigid determination to do it from tomorrow. I realized that I could not fulfill such a decision because the mind was not prepared. I was weak. If it was strong in the first place, I would not have had the problem. I could not rectify the weakness with direct confrontation with my vritti, so I had to use a trick to change the habit of mind. I just shifted the hands of my alarm by a few minutes every day. Thus, the progression was smooth. I came to a point where I had to train my mind. Had I used any other method, I would never have been able to train myself. I would have been struggling with that vritti, which was creating a negative condition in my mind. Some training had to take place. Pick that up. I could not rectify the weakness with direct confrontation with my vritti, So I had to use a trick to change the habit of the mind. The body is an animal and you have to train it as such. This is how the basic components of life have to be fine-tuned. Some people have a predominance of craving in their life. Every 5 minutes, they go to the refrigerator. They don't know what to do with their inner craving, so they try to fulfill it through food. Check that out again. It's not the food, it's the inner craving that manifests itself. You see that? I'll read that again. He says, some people have a predominance of craving in their life. Every 5 minutes, they go to the refrigerator. They don't know what to do with their inner craving, so they try to fulfill it through food. Right? It is a psychological response to an inner craving which they can't understand. This applies to everyone. The things that you crave, I mean, yeah, that's part of the vritti or the samskara, but in truth, there's a general emptiness that is seeking to be fulfilled. And until you address that, you're just going to change your craving to something else, whatever fits at the time. If they understood it, they wouldn't head for the fridge. When craving is not consciously known, but is desired, it manifests as attraction for food. Food represents nourishment, right? Here we go again with the subconscious mind and the symbolism, right? Your body does have a mind of its own, and it does act independently of your thoughts. So you've got to understand the language of the body. Sometimes when you're craving a certain type of food, the body knows what it actually needs, right? Say if you need protein, your mind isn't going to say, oh, I need protein. The body's going to bring to mind a craving of something that subconsciously you know has a lot of protein in it. So that might manifest as chicken and fish and peanut butter or whatever. But it's not the thing that you're actually craving. You're craving the nourishment that your body is trying to tell you that it needs. Okay, so food represents nourishment. The craving is to be nourished somehow or the other. Even if it is a mental craving, it is nourished by eating the food because the gesture is symbolic, right? Craving can also be emotional and sensual. Those who are habitually promiscuous, for example, their craving is passion. They need to experiment and connect. Psychoanalysts call it the psychology of youth. But the fact is that when you start chasing passion, the mind gets disturbed, as passion is an obsession. It is a bondage. It is not a liberating power, right? Oh, I'm sexually liberated. No, you're sexually confined because it's a bondage. It is intended for personal gratification. So its fulfillment is only increases it and binds one so that one loses touch with the appropriate qualities and positive conditions of life. The physiological and psychological effects of passion are felt just as the physiological and psychological effects of craving and sleep are felt. Too much sleep is a bad, and sleep deprivation is bad. Too much passion is bad, and passion deprivation is bad. Right? So it's not that the act in itself is bad. Balance is required. He says, therefore, an understanding of the operating systems of life through contemplation and meditation helps to manage the karmas of life. You feel me? Karma and rebirth. Karmas are acquired from the past and also created in the present. The Eastern systems believe in rebirth. Semitic religions do not believe in rebirth officially, although even Jesus Christ spoke on reincarnation. He said that his guru, John the Baptist, man, I bet you ain't never heard that before. Let me go back. My hat came off and landed on my head again. He said that his guru, John the Baptist, was an yeah, let me go back just a little bit more. The Eastern systems believe in rebirth. Semitic religions do not believe in rebirth officially, although even Jesus Christ spoke on reincarnation. He said that his guru, John the Baptist, was an incarnation of Elijah. Christ recognized rebirth. The church is an institution, and I am not talking about institutions. I'm talking of the experience a person can have. Christ had that, and he spoke about it. Man, people don't even know what the hell they doing. I'm talking about, Christians. These folks were studying the ancient science. Even reincarnation, John the Baptist, he was Elijah that came back and understood and knew what he was doing. He knew he was training Christ. He came as a herald for Christ. Man, this stuff has got even deeper. Now I got some more research to do because that was good right there. I wasn't ready for that, Swami Niranjanananda. The scriptures have also spoken about reincarnation. Sages and swamis have spoken about it, and even present-day scientists are discussing and researching it. The Eastern philosophies maintain that if we accumulate in this life, the impressions we gather are not worked through and not released in this life, they are carried forward into the next. It is like writing a word with a pencil on a blank piece of paper. You can erase the word, but the impression of the pencil will remain on the paper. The force with which you have applied will be seen in the form of the script, even though the visible marks do not exist anymore. You catch that? That's a good way to describe samskaras. It's as if I write in a book and I erase it. The visible word is gone, but that impression that I left on that paper is still there. Those are the deep samskaras that still taint and color and flavor your current experience and your decisions and your desires. Because even if you erase that word, if you kind of just shade over that paper, I don't know if you're an artist, if you've ever done that before, but those marks, they start to appear again. They don't go anywhere. But the impression of the pencil will remain on the paper. The force which you have applied will be seen in the form of the script, even though the visible marks do not exist anymore. What you write can never be completely erased from the paper. The visual component can be erased, but not that which has imprinted itself on the paper. That is the karma that you come with. The mind does not die. If the mind was different, how would memory of the past be retained? The present mind is not different from the past mind. I do not get your mind in my next life. I get my own mind in my next life. I do not get your mind in my next life. I get my own mind in the next life. I can see why a lot of people wouldn't believe in reincarnation or life after death, because most people are trained and conditioned to believe that the mind is the physical organ known as the brain, right? And there's less proof of that than there is of this. There's less proof that says that mind and consciousness is in the physical brain. There's no proof of that. Very cool. We take birth again and again only to experience and exhaust karma. That's it. We take birth again and again only to experience and exhaust karma. Prakriti tries to attract the spirit towards matter, and the spirit, due to its inherent nature, wants to go towards God. That's important to remember. So look, it isn't about, oh, we're stuck on a prison and the demiurge just got us trapped here. It's not so much about that. We're talking about just natural functions, algorithms, a process, a mechanical process. It's not about a demiurge or it's not about reptilians and all this other wild stuff that people come up with. It's not about that. We're talking about a process of reality. He says we take birth again and again only to experience and exhaust karma. That's it. We continue to reincarnate so that we can exhaust the impressions that we leave on this place, right? He says that Prakriti tries to attract the spirit towards matter. That's because Prakriti is magnetic. Prakriti is the feminine aspect. It's heaviness, it's magnetic. It is form. right? And in this particular relationship, it will be tamasic, right? Drawing spirit towards her. That's why we find ourselves incarnated, because we are drawn towards the patterns and the impressions that she is reflecting, the same way that the moon reflects the sunlight. Prakriti is only creating patterns and activity because she's reflecting what she sees within consciousness. But you can't see consciousness, you can only see energy, you can only see matter. So Prakriti tries to attract the spirit towards matter, and the spirit, due to its inherent nature, wants to go towards God. When the spirit assumes a material body with the help of Prakriti, right? That sounds a whole lot like what's going on from here all the way down to here, because your body's ready by the time you get to Gabriel, by the time you get to Yasad. He says, when spirit assumes a material body with the help of Prakriti, it needs the senses and the mind. But when it makes the effort to unite with God, going back up the tree, it does not need the senses or the mind, as this effort is not external, intellectual, or conscious. So the external world, your intellect, and your consciousness are all parts of Prakriti. What we're trying to deal with is something that's beyond these things. If you light a fire, the flames will travel upwards. A tree will also always grow skywards. Similarly, the energies of the mind always try to rise upwards, but we pull them down due to the influences of karma. A tree tries to go back up. A flame and fire tries to reach upwards. So do our thoughts and our energies of our mind try to go upwards, but we pull them down due to karma. The impressions that come as a package with us in this life are called prarabdha. Prarabdha. Oh, I missed a Bible verse. Society Eject says, but I tell you, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but have done to him everything they wished. In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands. Then the disciples understood that he was talking to them about John the Baptist. Man. You see what these people did to yogis when they came? John the Baptist was beheaded because they didn't like what he was talking about. Okay, so the impressions that come as a package with us in this life are called prarabdha. They are the invisible script on the paper that cannot be seen, but influences our lives. They are connected with the gunas. That is how the game in life begins. We take birth, play as a child, receive education, stabilize ourselves professionally, but while we are playing this game, according to our prarabdha, the prominence of the guna and the basic instincts, a mentality is formed, which is described as our character or our personality. The search for happiness. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, also, Trav, what times are the magic school? I know it starts next Thursday. I need times, though. Me and Amazon don't vibe, lol, but I'll find it elsewhere. So, the live session itself begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will be on Thursdays, beginning next Thursdays and commencing for the next 8 or 9 weeks, depending on how we progress. It's intended to be an 8-week course, but if most of the students need an extra week or two, then we can do that. But the process, the live session will begin at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so the search for happiness. After acquiring a body and mind, what is it that one looks for? Happiness. That is the law of life. A child looks for happiness as much as an old person. The main struggle in life is to be free of suffering and discover happiness. You make all the efforts to experience happiness. However, the present mental makeup does not correspond to the experience of happiness. For happiness is the state of ananda, bliss. That state of bliss is experienced only by a mind which is not under bondage. When the mind is not free, you may get a glimpse of happiness, but you will not be able to stabilize its experience. That glimpse will be followed by sorrow. The times when one feels happy, the mind is completely free. Look at your own life. When you are happy, how elated you feel. The whole world shines, the mind feels light, the body feels light. You're riding on high waves. That is the experience of freedom, liberation. When sorrow appears, it feels as if there is a mountain load on top. One feels tied down to the experience of narrowness and restlessness. So the meaning of moksha, liberation, is freedom from sorrow. It means to free up that which is bound. What is the bondage that ties you down? It is not the senses. It is not the mind. The senses and the mind are always there. One can be free of the results, the circumstances which take away the state of happiness, and these are the sorrows, the afflictions, ignorance, and fear of death. Karmas are connected to these joys and sorrows. The gunas and the instincts are affected by joy and sorrow. Even a tamasic person will experience sattva, peace and bliss, when there is happiness in life. And a sattvic person will experience tamasic conditions due to suffering. Therefore, the aim of the karma in this world is the acquisition of happiness through different means. This puppy dog is trying to get comfortable, but I move too much. Peace, Nuru. And thank you, Sunshine Chick, for sharing these links, because I'm on my phone right now and I certainly couldn't do that. Thank you for taking the effort to go out and find those links and post them here. And I hope you guys are grateful for that as well, because sometimes it can be difficult to find some of this info. So I appreciate you, Sunshine Chick. Society Eject says, yo, that makes sense that the body is ready when it get down to Gabriel, rule over water, and sex will be the ritual for bodies to come into the world of Malkuth. Yes, hell yeah. It's wow. So it's a conveyor belt. It's a chain reaction, a chain. By the time the impulse, I guess when you die, you float kind of upward. But depending on your source vibration, it's going to determine how high you raise. So I mean, ultimately, when you leave this body, your quote unquote higher self, the highest collection of your experiences, knows if you're done or you're not, if you need more time. So you're probably not going to go far up the chain if you're not finished. But by that time, Gabriel has already manufactured a body for you to possess. And they got your whole life script, or at least what you're expected to do, because what you actually do is going to be a different story. That's prepared at the point of chesed. By the time you come and take that body, like you said, sex is the ritual. And that ritual takes place on a certain day and time, right? Under a specific set of stars. Man. But the thing is, the people involved are not aware of this. This is all happening on a higher plane. The people are just used as vessels. That's why there's the 85% of the deaf, dumb, and blind. They're just acting out the play that's set before them. And that's how it's supposed to be. God thought of happiness and sorrow, and Prakriti has implanted them in our nature. Joy makes one weak, while suffering awakens the tendency of purushartha, self-effort. Those who run after happiness remain weak, but those who endure suffering acquire strength of mind. All the finest achievements in the world have taken place due to confrontation with suffering, not due to pleasure. If Siddhartha hadn't seen human suffering, he would not have become Buddha. Therefore, the sages say, make suffering the basis of your evolution. The inclination for exertion that will awaken in you, the sattva that you will acquire through it, is unparalleled. Kunti said the same thing to Krishna at the end of the Mahabharata war. The Great War is over. Yudhishthira had been crowned king. There was prosperity and peace in the kingdom. Krishna decided to go back to his kingdom. He bid farewell to everyone. But when he came to Kunti, she said to him, "Now that we have peace and prosperity, you are leaving. But when we were in sorrow, you would appear before us at the very thought of you. I wish that there will always be suffering in our lives so we can remember you and be in your presence." Wow. Only Kunti has made such a wish in history. God, give us sorrow because that is when you are present with us. When you give us happiness, we are separated from you. Damn. Who goes towards spirituality, to God and to saints and sages? Only one who is unhappy. Suffering brings us closer to God. Joy and sorrow are due to Prakriti, not due to God. God does not want us to be happy or unhappy. God does not want us to be happy or unhappy. He wants us to be content in whatever condition or place we are in. Prakriti manifests as yoga and maya and brings forth both joy and sorrow. Right? Prakriti manifests as yoga and as maya. So it's never and has never been about good versus evil. That's an elementary school understanding of spirituality. Elementary school, and we learning on the postgraduate level. You feel me? Compiled from lectures given to the postgraduate students at yoga philosophy. So good versus evil is an elementary school understanding. We way past that. Because Prakriti, it can be seen as a prison or a school because she gives us both yoga and the illusion. Anything that you can possibly experience is due to Prakriti. One who achieves the end of desires receives jnana, or knowledge. We'll be getting into that again, right? Nana. One who achieves the end of desires receives knowledge. The rest continue. Oh, and by the way, that sounds like Doth, huh? The rest continues to struggle with pain and pleasure. That's the 85-90%. You should experience joy and happiness, but don't forget the aim of your life. The aim of life is to free yourself from bondages so you can experience total freedom. In the realm of Prakriti, due to Gunas, one experiences joy and sorrow. If tamas predominates, one goes towards pleasure. If sattva predominates, one will go beyond the senses, manas, buddhi, chitta, and ahamkara. There's that team again, right? The team of antakarana, which is the inner instrument. Manas, chitta, ahamkara, buddhi. Your body mind, your mind stuff, right? Your ego, and the higher intellect. And what he says here is, if sattva is predominant, one will go beyond the senses, manas, chitta, ahamkara, right? When a tamas dominant person performs karma, they tie themselves up in knots, not the good kind. When a sattva dominant person performs karma, they free themselves of knots. And a rajas dominant person gets mixed results. Greetings, SRJP the Great. Greetings, Hikati. The good guys dress in black. Remember that, just in case we ever face to face and make contact. The title held by me, MIB, means what you think you saw you did not see. So don't blink, think what was there. Hypnotizer, neuralizer, vivid memories turn to fantasies. Ain't no MIBs cannot please. Do what we say, that's the way we kick it. Know what I mean? Something about a noisy cricket get wicked on you. We're the first, last, and only line of defense against the worst scum of the universe. So don't fear us, dear us. If you ever come near us, don't dear us, we're fearless. Will Smith, man. Title held by me, MIB. What's that stand for? Men in Black. In the ashram, you perform the same tasks as at home: cooking, cleaning, working, sweeping, thinking. There is no difference in the method of work, but in your understanding and knowledge, right? You're going to be doing the same things for the rest of your life, guys. But the difference is the understanding and how you approach it. Hypnotizer, neuralizer, vivid memories, turn to fantasies. Golly. So you're going to be performing the same actions throughout life. That's not going to change. What's going to change is the mind behind these behaviors, right? There's no difference in the method of work, but in your understanding and knowledge. Through the environment that exists in the ashram, through satsang, right? Association with the wise, sadhana, spiritual practice, shraddha, faith, and samarpan, surrender, one acquires the understanding of what is useful and what is not. That's important because, believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand that. One acquires the understanding of what is useful and what is not, and what is appropriate and what is not. Bam! That's my slogan. Is it useful? Is it appropriate? I swear to Jesus, it all comes out of this Vedic information. I've been using this for a while, for probably about a year and a half. I believe I got it from David Snyder, where I don't think, where if I have some type of a, if I'm trying to decide if I should do something or not, or make a judgment, I don't sit here and dwell on it for long. I put it through a 2-question criteria. And that 2-question criteria is it useful? Is it appropriate? I've been doing that for years, or at least the last 2 years. That's been my criteria. Like I said, I thought I got it from David Snyder, but wow, look at that. One acquires the understanding of what is useful and what is not, what is appropriate and what is not. So I guess David Snyder reads this as well. Or we know that hypnosis and NLP is definitely also rooted and grounded in these type of texts as well. That's awesome. That's awesome. While performing the same tasks at home, one does not get such a clear understanding. In the ashram, you get the stick of the guru. At home, there is no one to hit you on the head. Okay, so in the ashram, you get the stick of the guru, but at home, there's no one to hit you on the head. When you are hit by the guru, you awaken a little. You think about whether what you are doing is right or wrong. You acquire an awareness of yourself, and slowly the drashta, the witness, attitude develops. This is not achieved in one day, but once the process starts, one gradually becomes the witness of karmas and thoughts. This is the meaning of spiritual learning. Interesting. Okay, give me just a second. Hold on just a moment. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back. The title held by me, MIB. Here's what you think you saw. You did not see.
We're the first, last, and only line of defense against the worst scum of the universe. That's a pretty big claim, huh? First, last, and only line of defense against the creatures of the abyss. But yeah, I've been using that criteria, and honestly, it hasn't failed me. It can't fail you because it always challenges me to keep my goals in the front of my head. You know, like if I'm about to make a purchase, if I'm about to associate with an individual, even down to like what I eat. You know, if there's any amount of indecision, I have to run it through the criteria. Is it useful? Is it appropriate? Because you got to think, useful to what? Appropriate to what? And if my goal is to stay focused on my destination, then the answer becomes clear. Is it useful to my goals and my lifestyle? Is it appropriate for my goals and my lifestyle? If the answer is no, then I don't need to do it. Society Eject says, how I'm going to answer my daughter and people's now is it useful or is it appropriate? Yeah. And then you really start to see who really wants advice or who just wants to vent and complain. You know what I'm saying? This dog is always growling and barking at the corners. There's nothing there, but she'll sit there and growl and bark at the corner. Maybe I need to go get some sage. Sage the room. Devon Kumali says, appreciate you and what you do, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm glad that this helps. All right. Let's go. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, I work 6 days a week and still find time for studying and meditation and many practices. I'm so proud of me. Laziness was my virtue. I'm thankful for everyone in the group. I love learning with y'all. That's great. You know what I'm saying? That is awesome because just like what you said, like everybody has the same number of hours in a day. And, you know, I even look at people like Hecate. You know, she works multiple jobs, but she still finds time to study and meditate and do the work. So, and others people who, hell, even work just part-time and say they don't have time to meditate. You're going to make time for the things that you want to do. And I know sometimes it's more difficult than others, but at the end of the day, you got to put forth some kind of effort. You know, like the action, like I said in the previous video, the actions have to line up with your intentions. Otherwise, you know, you're just telling yourself a story, you know, and it's never a value judgment. I have eliminated good and bad from my vocabulary and from my thinking. I've eliminated that. It's never about good and bad, good and evil. But I understand that we're all at different levels in our life. Some people may truly desire to want to read and study and meditate and do all these things. Somebody might truly desire those things, but it might not be in their level just yet. They might not be at the level to be able to do it just yet. So that's not a value judge. They're not a good person or a bad person. That's just where they're at right now. Now, hopefully, they're working on being able to do those things, but it's never about a good person, bad person thing. It's all about what level the person is at. And the more you understand that, the more you're going to be able to have compassion for yourself and other people. So without compassion, it's impossible to see clearly. All right, so plant the seed, prune the tree. If you plant a seed, it will germinate. And when the fruits appear 10 years later, you will see the results of what you had planted. This applies even in spiritual life. Therefore, don't be in a hurry. Be patient. Don't expect to have a transcendental experience in 1 week of meditation, right? How many people in this chat are trying to have a mind-blowing experience after a week? Hell, a day. Trav, you said use this Goetia spirit and nothing happened. Nothing happened. No, I just had a dream that the spirit was talking to me, and I just had this coincidence that was the same number as the Goetic spirit, and this, that, and the third. But no, nothing happened. What? You think I was making that up, but it's happened on multiple occasions. Don't expect to have a transcendental experience in 1 week of meditation. I'll highlight that. Plant the seed of meditation and protect it, nurture it, nourish it, take care of it, and you'll receive the fruits of meditation 10 years down. It won't happen in 1 week, and don't expect it either. Nature follows its own course of law, and isn't it so good to learn that law? Human effort in life should be to provide the right condition, environment, and the right seed to flower. Remember earlier he was talking about the seed and how the tree is inside the seed, right? But you're not going to slice open the seed and you're not going to see the fruits and the leaves and the bark and the branches. No, you see the potential and the prototype. That's what's in the seed. The gunas are in harmony and in balance. Now what happens is when you provide the right soil, the right sunlight, the right water, the right environment, that seed will now die, and with its death, the inherent qualities in that seed now begin to blossom out, right? So like what he was saying here, nature follows its own course of law, right? Human effort in life should be to provide the right condition and environment and the right seed to flower, right? It's a process. It's not a hocus pocus, maybe let's throw shit at the wall and guess. All this stuff is literally a process that can be mastered and repeated, right? It's not if it'll work or maybe it'll work. It will definitely work. It just takes time. It just takes effort, and the right effort, right? The question isn't, oh, is manifestation real? Is the law of attraction real? Da, da, da. That's not the question. The question is, are you willing to put in the effort and the right effort to make these things work? That's the question. It's not, is it real? Because obviously it's been done throughout time. Obviously. The question is, are you willing to put in the time and the necessary effort? I like that. Framestar Film says, try to imbue your practice in your work life, like walking meditation. That's what happened to me. You know, I didn't have enough time to do what I wanted to do, so I took my rituals to work, right? I took my dvesha experiments to work, to my job. And looking back, you know, that caused a little bit of fear and what actually got me fired, but being fired was the best thing to happen to me because I wasn't going to quit. It really pushed me to move outside of my comfort zone. And I've been fine ever since. Hell, I've been thriving ever since. Every aspect of my life has improved after that. So yeah, like Framestar Film said, transform your life into your practice, right? If you don't have time, make your life your practice. Don't separate it. All right, let's keep going. We are all life members of the club called Earth, and when we depart from this body, the membership will end. Until then, we are all life members of human society. I'm trying to be a society eject. You dig? Therefore, the quality of karma has to be transformed from negative, limiting, and destructive to creative and uplifting. By observation of the instincts, doing the appropriate action at the appropriate time, by improving swabhava, one can transform the karmas. Observation of the instincts, doing the appropriate action at the appropriate time, improving swabhava. Om Bhuva Swaha. How to improve one's character, or your swabhava, because that's what swabhava means, character. How to improve your character. If you don't interfere with the growth of a tree, the branches will sprout and grow in all directions. If you want to ensure that the tree grows straight, you have to start pruning and trimming right from the beginning. Do that to your life. You have never pruned the tree of your life. The tree of life. One crooked branch goes down in one direction and another goes crooked in another direction. You show the gardener the tree with all the crooked branches and say, I wish the tree was straight. The gardener says, I will have to use a saw to cut the crooked branches. And you say, no, you can't use a saw. It hurts. It is painful. The gardener says, there is no option. In life, we fail to realize the importance of right living. If one lives in the right manner with proper trimming and pruning from the beginning, trimming our samskaras, our nature, our behavior, then after the initial effort, the tree will automatically grow straight. Facts. I like that also. Will Trent says, an audiobook at work, have you go your whole shift nonstop. Gotta sneak them headsets in though, so balance, I guess. Absolutely, man. Yeah, many times I took my little earbuds to work and was trying to get in my Brother Panic lectures, trying to get in my audiobooks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, you know how to do it. Make it work. Try not to get in trouble, but make it work. Necessity of sadhana. The trimming happens through yoga sadhana. Yoga sadhana means working on the human nature, and you have to do that much yourself. Spiritual life exposes one to the limited side of one's nature. That is what you see in meditation. When you see that limited aspect of yourself, there's fear or the feeling of guilt. We go through mental crisis when we try to manage, alter, and transform a condition which we have lived with for so many years, right? Has that happened to any of you guys? When you try to start, quote unquote, fixing yourself and improving yourself, you start to have this emotional crisis that you're trying to manage, this mental crisis. It's because you're trying to alter and transform a condition which you've lived with for so many years. When the trimming is not done initially, the twigs become big, hard, strong branches, then rectification is impossible. Just as we prune and trim the tree to ensure its proper growth, we have to trim our nature by cultivating a different attitude to the present one. Is the glass half full or half empty? Hey, what are you doing? Get. Is the glass half empty? Half full or half empty? Which attitude do you express? If you are aware of the absences in life, you will say that it is half empty. And if you're aware of the gains in life, you will say that it is half full. The attitude is different. This positive attitude is the result of the association of your mind with your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Keep that in mind because there are a ton of people who only see the evil in the world and the darkness and the corruption, right? That's all they see because that's all they know. I'll sit here and I'll say that, oh, there are no enemies, or I'll say, rise your vibration so that the negativity will fall away from you. And here they come. No, you're just ignoring the fact that these people have done this to us for years and we got to fight back and we got to da-da-da-da-da-da and the Illuminati, reptilians, etc., etc. But again, moving away from value judgments, it's because that's all that they know. That's where these people are because they've only known a half-empty cup. So of course that's what they're going to see. We got to fight the archons. How do you even go about doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they see. That's all they have. That's all they know. But look at what he says in this last sentence. The positive attitude is the result. What's it the result of? It's a result of the association of your mind with your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. If you don't have understanding, knowledge, or wisdom, if you don't have those, of course you're going to see the world as a half-empty cup. Of course, all you're going to see is the darkness and the evil and the negativity. That's all you're going to see. So again, when you hear these people, don't really so much, antagonize them. Just have an understanding of what level that they are dealing with. If they knew better, they would perform better. Plain and simple. Transformation. When the mind associates with knowledge, with jnana, sneak peek, we'll be getting into that soon. When the mind associates with knowledge, with jnana, the attitude changes. When the mind is connected to the senses, the response is different. Right? So check that out. Your mind can either associate with knowledge or it can associate with your five senses. Two different kind of people. When the mind is connected to a desire, the response is different. And when it is connected to jnana, wisdom, the response is different, right? So you got a person who can have their mind associated with wisdom and knowledge, or it can be associated with desire. And you can tell a mind that's associated with desire, their intention reeks through all their words and all their actions, right? Have you ever been around somebody who is pretending to be your friend and saying all the right things, doing all the right things, but you know that they're really trying to get something out of you? You already know it, but it seems like they're the only person who doesn't know it. They're trying to pretend like they're not. Oh yeah, anything you need, I got you, you know? But you know deep down inside, they're really trying to get something out of you. You know specifically what it is. That's because their mind is attached to that desire, and they think they're being slick, but you know better if your eyes are open. Because everything they do and they say, it's going to reek of that desire. It's so funny because they always think that you know, they always think that you don't notice it. People always want to try, well, not people always, but there is a certain group of people who behave in that way. And once you learn how to identify that within yourself, you start to see it in other people. When you stop behaving in that way, it becomes clear when other people are. And guess what? When you stop behaving in that way, you gradually begin to attract other people who don't behave like that. In other words, you magnetize what you become. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, y'all, I do my yoga in the bathroom at work, and I need some headphones, even though my clairaudient self may not like that. Thank you all for the great advice. I'm definitely going to be listening at work. You know, my first ritual space, when I finally had somewhat of my own, my first ritual space was a bathroom. When I got my apartment with my fiance at the time, we had like 3 bathrooms. So I claimed one and used it as my ritual space. And the toilet was my altar. So I had the toilet all decorated with this spiderweb fabric, and I had like a Catholic collection plate, right? And I put my little 5 elements and my candles, and I did all my first rituals in that bathroom for a long time. Really helps you to helped me to appreciate working with what I had and not trying to be extra fancy or getting butt hurt because I couldn't get a hold of certain items. So yeah, work with what you got, work with where you are, and gradually move up. Plus, you know, nobody's gonna just barge in on you when the bathroom door's closed. Perfect timing. Happy 11/11. I love it. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, I legit watched one of Trav's replays at work, and I dared anyone to say a damn thing. Right? It's that demon guy. All right, so the transformation of character happens through observation, understanding, knowledge, and awareness. Reminds me of some of these spheres up here. Knowledge, understanding, wisdom. The transformation of character happens through the observation, understanding, knowledge, and awareness. Understanding and awareness equals wisdom. Understanding without awareness is only understanding. But understanding plus awareness equals wisdom. It is through wisdom that one can manage the trimming of character. Instincts are managed through meditation, and swabhava, which is your personality, your character, through the trimming, awareness, and understanding. I like that. Understanding without awareness is only understanding. But understanding plus awareness equals wisdom. Okay. Oh, we've entered the, oh, that's the end of it. Okay. All right, cool. So we've got a few photos here. This is the middle of these short books has pictures in them. I guess I'll turn the phone sideways. That might help. Let me know if you guys can see this full screen or if it doesn't come up. Maybe I have to turn the light off. Yeah, there we go. So we got Swami Niranjanananda plus Swami Satyananda Saraswati. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, my bathroom is my darkest space, and I love meditating and doing rituals in complete darkness. Yeah, that was another good reason. I used to put on the headphones and start doing start working on astral projecting and doing my lucid dreaming and meditation, guided hypnosis and things like that. Oh, look at that. So there's our author, Swami Niranjan Ananda, and his guru, Swami Satyananda. Check that out. And by the way, if you don't know, this is the guy who also wrote Dharana Darshan. This guy started at 4 years old, y'all. Started at 4 years old. Who knows how, like, I don't know. I'd love to know what type of things that he's working on or working with or what he does in his meditations. Like, I really genuinely want to know what kind of work he does on his level, right? Like, what is the advanced work? I'd love to know that, and I might get privy to that someday. But right now, we only deal with the work that we deal with. But man, can you imagine starting at that age? Can you imagine like your child starting at that age? At this age, he's studying the Vedic texts. And I've seen the videos, like they do to this day, they still train little children to memorize the Rig Veda and the Upanishads and the Yoga Sutras. They memorize, they already build that foundation. So as they get older, they already have it to draw from, and they're taught this. And studies have shown that as they train these kids like this, they actually become more intelligent. Their intellectual capacity expands. So this is a real thing. Stray Panther says, I wonder how he dealt with puberty. Right. A lot of these questions, man. So here he is again. Literally learning and training from an actual guru. And gosh, there's so much. Like we can't even know. This is his life's mission. And the reason that you got to think, it's not like they just randomly picked a 4-year-old kid up out of nowhere. These are the same people who have written about intentionally reincarnating and bringing a soul back for a specific purpose and using sexual tantra to incarnate a sattvic soul. Like these are people, they were writing about that science before he was born. You know what I'm saying? His birth coincides with the death of his guru. I'm not making any claims, but I'm just saying. Sivananda died shortly before Niranjan Ananda was born. And then he transitioned on purpose. He cleared his karma and began to erase his karma, and then after he finished his work, he intentionally transitioned through meditation. He sat down in a ritual with his other some of his other students, and the top of his head popped, and he shot out like, man. And he's not the only one to do that. And I was also listening to a video that Nuru sent me about this quantum physics and how the soul actually exits the body through the top of the head. There's a lot to it. It gets deep. We're just learning the basics of this whole science, but you got to understand this stuff gets very deep. And there's Satyananda. Well, we'll get to that one next. Thong, the thong, thong, thong. So we got Niranjanananda and Satyananda, a little bit older, a little bit more mature, grown up. You know what I'm saying? Satyananda looks happy as can be, and this is around his erasing of the karma stage. And here we go. These are our three of our favorite authors right here, right? There she is, dressed in all black. You feel me? She got the same outfit I got on right now. This is the author of Tattvashuddhi, Swami Satyasangananda Saraswati. That's the author of Tattvashuddhi. This is Satyananda, just all out there. You know what I'm saying? The author of Meditation of the Tantras, Kundalini Tantra. And then this is Swami Niranjanananda, the author of the book that we're reading. And this was the guru to both of them. And these two have worked as a team, doing a lot of work in building the Bihar School of Yoga and continuing its process. Dressed in all black like the Omen. I got your friends singing, "This is for my homie, now you know me." I love it. Okay, here we go again. Niranjanananda, looks like it's the type of ceremony. Unfortunately, we don't know the context behind any of these pictures, so we just kind of enjoy. And of course, we got Niranjan and Satyananda. Yeah, I seriously want to know what kind of things that they do for their personal work. Like, what is the advanced work? What does that look like? Maybe we'll find out. Looks very warm and cozy here. Sunshine Chick asks, "Do I know the meaning of the paint on the forehead?"
There's dinner on the stove if you want some.
Okay, yeah, I will definitely try some, and I'll put it up. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, Sunshine Chick asks, "Do you know the meaning of the paint on the forehead?" So I do know about, at least this being used in conjunction with Tattvashuddhi. I don't know the other way that he has it here, and I don't know if I'm positive it is done in correspondence with ritual and levels of purification, right? Because you'll see that on this cover. That's where this picture is taken from, because they only use a select number of pictures. So for a while, this guy was looking like he didn't age at all, but he does have a more recent video that came out about 7 months ago. And I think he's pretty close to his 60s, maybe. Okay, he was born in 1960, so 60. Yeah, he is like 62 years old. But anyways, yeah, I'm not certain. We'll have to do some research. I don't know. Will Trent says, "I'm attracted to those beads. This is new territory for me, so I never cared to ask what they meant till now." Okay, so essentially, these are called Rudraksh. Rudraksh. And basically, they are used in conjunction with. Oh, don't do that. They're used in conjunction with doing your. What's it called? Doing your mantras. So there's 108 of these, right? And if you Google different mantras, they're meant to be recited 108 times. All right. So if you were to do Om Namah Shivaya, if you look on those YouTube videos, they go through 108 rounds. So of course, before there was YouTube, they used these Rudraksh beads, and essentially, since there's 108 of them, you can sit there, close your eyes, and focus on the mantra, and you count with the beads. So you say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and you go through, and then you know when you hit the center, when you hit this one here, you've completed one cycle of mantra. So these they represent doing the different mantra and what's called japa, which is the inward repetition of it. So hum with the breathing and different things like that. And that will actually be covered a lot in this particular text, mantra and yantra. But yeah, that's the purpose of the necklace. It's called a Rudraksh. Rudraksh. And basically, it symbolizes you committing to the spiritual path. I use it as myself for a symbol of focus and dedication. I don't put it on. I don't put it around my neck if I haven't done at least one round, if I haven't done meditation, if I haven't done my mantras. So it helps me to keep consistent. Now, of course, there are some spiritual properties associated with too. It does have an effect on the subtle body. It does have effect on the bloodstream because these are actually seeds, and having them in close conjunction with the heart and the chest has an effect subtly on the body. You can do some research on them. They're called the Rudraksh, Rudraksh. There's even an emoji for these things, so they're pretty popular. Moby says, "Do you have the link to that vid trap?" Yeah. You'll have to message me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. Because I'm on my phone, so I don't have it to where I can like leave and come back. I think if I leave, it'll close this chat down. So, if you send me a message on Instagram, I will send you that video. Which video was it? One of the more recent videos, Godflow93 asked, and I sent the link in the comments. So one of the recent videos, you'll see a comment. I wish I remembered the name of it. But yeah, if you send me a message, I'll send you that. Will Trent says Rudras. Yeah, and it is after, they are named after Rudra because the actual fruit that these are seeds from, it's blue. And they're thought of as Rudra's tears. There's a legend behind them and all that. And yeah, you can buy them on Amazon. Thanks, Moby. There's a particular one that I buy, and I posted the link so other people in the group could get the same ones. And they actually sold out for like several months. I was like, damn, I did not mean for that to happen. Because, supposedly there's like some scammers online that sell plastic ones, and I knew that this one was reputable and real. But if you want to get some, send me an email. I know I responded to your email earlier. Just send me, if you want some, let me know, and I'll send you the link to where I got mine. Yeah, Stray Panther says, if you buy them, get them from a trusted dealer. There are plastic ones out there. The Rudraksh beads will cost a little. Yeah, the real ones. And yeah, I think I got mine for like 20 something. It actually crossed my mind earlier today of maybe even hooking up with a manufacturer and maybe even setting up distribution myself, just as a way to get people some if they're interested. Wouldn't really be nothing to make a bunch of money off of, but at least I could serve as a resource to get a few of them to America. I know that Sadhguru makes them, and so gives them out for free. But I don't know. I even know somebody that works with 3D printing and stuff, and I even maybe had an idea of maybe making a little special central charm. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some kind of symbol or something, and we could make our own. I don't know. It'd be interesting. If it's not too much trouble, if it won't take up too much of my time from what I'm doing, that could be something that I'm into. By the way, I got some news. This is way too early, but I'm gonna go ahead and spill the beans from you guys. I will be doing another live event, and it's gonna be in June. It's gonna be 666, right? All that six stuff. So it's gonna be on June the 6th. So you have plenty of time to prepare. Check it out. We get a commission for buying tickets. So if you buy the ticket for the show, get it from me, and then I'll get a commission for it. And yeah. So if you're interested in seeing me live, the next time, so far that I know of, that I'm going live in person, will be in June. It's gonna be in Atlanta. All right. So we were talking this morning, and mostly the emphasis is going to be on the meet and greet aspect. Yes, there's going to be a live discussion, but it seemed like most of the people were there last time because they literally just wanted to, meet with everybody and just hang out. So there's going to be a lot of that. So if you want to see me in person and we can talk, chop it up, get to know each other, Atlanta, June the 6th. And we're going to have somebody there also that you have seen on YouTube before I started making videos. I can't say who just yet, but the answer is yeah. You already know. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. You'll be able to catch a lot of birds with one stone this time around. So like I said, get your ticket from me because I get a commission off of it. But it's going to be in June. And it's not going to be the price is lower than what it was for the last one for different reasons. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Yes, it's my birthday month. Very close to my birthday. Maybe I was going to say we could do some. I don't know. Maybe there's stuff in Atlanta that we could do as a group. Maybe that's too much. Maybe we should just have a live thing and that's it. I don't know. Who knows? I'm literally I've made an agreement that I'm not allowed to say who, but I mean the choices are kind of limited, so Straight Panther says my malas are sandalwood and amethyst. And maybe another option is I could work with this 3D printer and maybe just make different types. Maybe we could do Rudrakash and mala and sandalwood with, spiritual symbols as the center bead. I think that'd be cool. Gerald Sombright says, as always, I'm grateful for these reads, Trav. It's amazing to see how all this connects. Yeah, that's my favorite part, to be able to read these and to be able to pick up, hey, this means this means that, and this is connected to this. It truly shows that this stuff is all synthesized and it's all talking about the same thing, and it's all coming from the same source. Really, I love it. It's amazing, and this is how it should be done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I guess there's room for opinion and discussion, but if we're talking about occult science and occult study, well, education and really the root word of lecture comes from teaching out of a book. That's what a lecture is supposed to be. The way Phil Valentine did it, right? That was literally a lecture. That's what your professors do in college. That's what Bobby Hemmett did. It's lecture. You teach from a book. You study the book. You talk about what's in the book, and you compare notes, etc., etc. So this is how occult science is supposed to be done. This is how it's always been done. Back in the day, there used to be these stone temples. Well, now we're in the digital temples, and it's probably about to get even more digital. All good though, all good. This is beautiful. I love it. Life is amazing. I'm extremely grateful, extremely happy to be here. Nothing but good things. Nothing but good things, y'all. Remember, how you see the cup, half empty, half full. If you see a half empty cup, then that only shows that, you're used to a reality that's half empty. That's not a judgment call. I'm not saying that you're a bad person, but when you begin to associate reality with, or your reality, when you begin to associate with wisdom and understanding, goodness, balance, harmony, you see that it's half full. Hell, you see that it's always been full the entire time. Really, I got nothing to complain about. What am I complaining about? I have been through the worst of my life. I've already been through it. And I'm so much better. And here's another thing I stopped doing. I stopped comparing myself to other people. And I know that's kind of difficult to do. We say out loud, oh, I don't compare myself and I don't judge. But we do things like that. When I stopped comparing myself to other people and only started comparing myself to my past self, game changer. Game changer, because you don't understand what nobody else is going through. You cannot. Even if they tell you, you can't fully understand. Right? I understand what I've been through. I understood my motives. I know why I made the decisions I made. why I associated with the people I associated with, why I did the things that I did. I understood the mistakes that I made. I understand why I did all those things. And I have an understanding now that enables me to make better decisions. So I don't have to do what I did before. I now have options. I've always had options, but now I understand my options. I respect my options. I choose to behave better. So I only compare myself to who I was. That doesn't get me down. That makes me happy because I've grown. And every day I have the opportunity to make life even more magnificent. So do you. So do you. Karma is not just cause and effect. Karma is not just punishment and reward. Karma is life. Karma is life. Just like what we saw in that last book. Awakening the Life Force. If you're lucky enough to get a copy of this book, go ahead and do that. Because again, this really breaks it down. And I want you guys to understand this stuff. Because just like I said, it's an algorithm. It's a system. It's a system of algorithms. Just like how back in the day, mathematicians used to come up with this new mathematics set that was the answer for everything, and everybody was like, oh, now we understand the universe. Then someone would find a flaw in it, like, yeah, well, x doesn't equal y because of this. Then based on that mistake, they reinvent the system and make it something new. Then everybody freaks out, oh my god, you solved all the answers. And that keeps happening until the point that we get to I forgot the name of that guy, but eventually somebody made a complete system, and he even made room for the variables which cannot be solved. So he literally made a system that included everything, and that's pretty much what we're using today. Well, likewise, Samkhya is a system of understanding the universe. Kabbalah is a system of understanding the universe. Same way. So it's not. A lot of people approach this stuff as like, oh yeah, well, this is how I do magic. We're going to be able to how do I manifest with the sphere of chesed, or how do I do tifereth, and how do I. It's not so much like magic tricks. It's more having a table and a laboratory and a framework to understand how everything works. So once you understand how everything works together as a relationship, now you can begin to make moves in a specific way. Now you can pull a string and know that over there is going to move. And now you know you can push a button and that over there is going to stop. You start to understand all that stuff. You feel me? So the more that you understand, understanding becomes so much easier when you have a system. I've been saying that. When you have a system to use as a compass, as a measuring tool, right? As a compass and a square. When you have a system to be able to perceive the universe and how things work, it makes it easier for you. It's like having a computer. It's like having a system. So basically what he's saying here about karma, karma isn't good or bad. It's not reward, punishment. It's not even just cause and effect. Those things are included in it, but it goes much deeper. Karma is life. Karma is life. And there was a page here talking about karma in this book, Awakening the Life Force. And okay, yeah, karmic doctrine, karmic law. And pretty much, I said this yesterday, but it just makes total sense. And I'll flip the screen around so you guys can see it. But basically this right here, if you don't or haven't, maybe take a screenshot of this. But these are the 12 factors of samsara, the 12 factors that have an effect on your reality, your karma. And it's separated into 4 parts. See right there where it says temporal context in the middle? Those first 2 are the past causes. The next is present effects. So those past causes make present effects, but it doesn't stop there. The next section says present causes. So those are the things that you do today that cause tomorrow's karma, future effects. So karma is this wheel, this cycle of motion and existence, right? And it starts with nescience, starts with subconscious impressions, those samskaras we talked about. Those deep impressions, they literally are what has created your ego, right? It creates how you see the world. It creates how you relate to the world, right? Now, here you are relating to the world, and you've got your character, see yourself, and all that good stuff. Now, guess what that does? Those deeply embedded impressions now create new desires. Because the way you see the world, you have a certain flavor of desires. Now, it doesn't stop with desire. Those desires become obsessions, right? Now, those desires, they create thoughts, words, and actions. And you start making plans on how to get that thing that you desire. Then you start to get that thing you desire. That whole process there creates new karma. And it's all based on past subconscious impressions. It continues to cycle around and around and around, and it doesn't stop until you first start halting the process, dealing with the deep rooted subconscious subliminal impressions that rule your life. You talk about free will, but how do you have free will when this process is happening? You don't have free will. You're just going along with these impressions until you deal with it. So free will doesn't exist until you start using your free will to neutralize these influences on you. And it's a science. It only makes sense. None of this stuff you got to stretch out and believe and pretend and cross your fingers and hope. You can demonstrate this just by going within the laboratory of your mind. So this is what karma is. It's not just cause and effect. It's not just good and bad, reward and punishment. It's big deep. Big deep. So I started going off on a tangent. Let me see the comments, y'all. Good night, everybody. Sunshine Chick. I know it's been a long day. Hope you sleep well. Cosmic Chlorophyll says, man, if Spirit Doula was there, I would smile from ear to ear. Who knows? Who knows? We got Robbie Hemmett coming, y'all. There, I had to spill the beans. Robbie Hemmett. Robbie Hemmett is on the way. ROBBIEHEMET. Robbie Hemmett. You about to break it down for us. Somebody should Photoshop that. You know, he'll be Bobby Hemmett's evil twin with like a evil twin mustache. Cosmic Chlorophyll says your head covering kind of looks like dreads. You a guru in the making, and we watching it play out. So beautiful. You know, I'm trying to get a hold of this lady that dreads hair, and ever since this little pandemic thing, this pandemic show happened, couldn't find her. But when I do find her, it's gonna happen. All my brothers, well, the two brothers that live with me, they have dreads, but they've been going on for like 10 years. I always avoided it, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump on that train. I think it'll be fun. Robbie Hemmett, y'all. Black Knight says The Awakening the Life Force is a badass book, one of my favorite books. Look, I wasn't gonna share it honestly, but I can't keep this shit to myself. I just can't do it. Maybe it's a bad thing, and I don't think about good and bad, but maybe it's to my detriment that I share so much. But this stuff is so good, I literally can't keep it to myself, as you guys see. Boof Zip says, Spirit said I needed a routine. Glad to say I incorporated this into it. Awesome, bro. Thanks, Magus. Thank you. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, so that's about that. Man, I'm starting to get used to doing these. Do you guys think that these nightly sessions is too much? Like, I know, of course, you can't do this every single night, but do you think this is too much? Like, do you think it was better when it was just like once a week, or maybe 2 or 3 times a week? Or do you think that this is a good amount? You know, because I know this is a lot of information, and I could literally do this every day. I really could. But of course, when the class starts next Thursday, I will have to reduce some of the days. Of course, not Thursday. But I don't know. Do you guys think that this is too much, or a good amount? Because it helps me. Like, it helps me to actually read it out loud and to stop and like digest it out loud, because I remember even better while doing that. So it definitely helps me. I love it. Um, and I see from the comments that it does help some of you all as far as digesting the material, understanding the material, and having a different perspective on the material. Some people have these books already. Some people have read them already. You know, and I hear some people that are giving me some feedback that's useful. A lot of the comments that you post, you know, shines a light on things that I may not have been thinking about. So it is mutually helpful. I love it. Um, but I can imagine to some people this would be a little too much. I don't know. Just want to know what you guys thought about that. MC Maestro says once a week, maybe just an MP3 nightly of a passage. Straight Panther says I say twice, 3 times a week. I need to read, man. Yeah. Framestar says daily practice. Hekate says your reading is my speed of reading. Moby says I love Thursday nights for me. Well, I can't keep doing Thursdays because that's going to be the nights that I do the class. But maybe we can pick a different night. Matthew Watson says this has definitely increased my understanding and growth. Prince Cthulhu says every day is dope. Nuru says all day, every day, Trav. You know me, I think we should live on a mountain and do nothing else but build light. I mean, you know, I wouldn't disagree with that. Useless Familiar says once or twice a week is just fine. Will Trent says I like the night better. I can't catch all the episodes, but it's good to have it out there. We're all on different paths. Just keep going. We'll catch what we're supposed to. I'm gonna leave it to spirit. Good answer. Cosmic Chlorophyll says same as Society Ejects. I go to work at 5. I'm a night owl and early bird. Nice. Society Ejects says hell no, lol. I do it every night. I have to go to work at 5 a.m. Hey. 5 a.m. Jeez Louise. Dickie says twice a week. Hell, I'll take 3 times a week, bro. Okay. Okay, so 2 or 3, that sounds good. 2 to 3. 3, 4, 5, yeah. That'll give me time to do other things if I need to. Cosmic Chlorophyll says same. I'm tired of work and I just want to read, meditate, and drink water and be left alone. It's possible. All right. So today is Thursday. I guess we'll give it another day. If you guys don't have a copy of this or a PDF yet, this is going to be the next Kabbalah book that we go into. Now he's going to approach a Kabbalah from a different angle that William Gray approached it, but it's going to be extremely informative as well. This is one that I wasn't going to do, but given the change of circumstances, it's a requirement. That's good. Okay. So, if you didn't already, check out the last video that I posted. It's a short video, and basically I'm talking about, honestly, just click on that video and click the link that I have posted in the bio or the comments. And that link is a lecture that a professor has given about Samkhya, the breakdown of Samkhya. So check that out. Check that out. Quite important. It'll give you a good foundation and a background to understanding what I've been talking about this whole time. Okay. Yeah, so check that out. That is, like I said, the last video I posted is like 9 minutes, and it has the link within the bio and the description. Go ahead, check that out. Also, like I said, the time is approaching very, very quickly. I am getting started with my course. It's going to be an 8-week course, live sessions every 8 weeks, and also recorded information. The whole premise of that course is to help you build a framework, to help you build a system for getting into contact with your higher self and establishing and strengthening that connection. Now, this is necessary if you want to proceed further in your spiritual work, right? This is necessary because what we're doing is we're expanding. We're expanding from just the 5 sense physical nature to something more subtle, to something beyond the five senses. And to get that process rolling, you're going to have to come into contact with the higher aspects of yourself. So the benefit of this course is that I'm going to show you the same exact meditations that I've been using to achieve that goal, and that I'm continuing to use to continue to achieve that goal at different degrees and different levels. So if you're somebody who has no idea how to start that process, if you're somebody who has been on this process but you don't know if you're making results, or if you're scattered, or if you feel overwhelmed, or any of that, this course is going to help you get on track, right? I've also got, if you need a day-to-day routine to follow, I've got that for you as well. But with this course, the main intention is for me to be able to be right there with you side by side, hold your hand if I need to. I can't meditate for you. You're going to have to do that part. But at least I'll be able to help you know what to do. You'll know what the work is for yourself. Everyone's work is personal, but there are some general frameworks, general rules and methods that can get you there a lot faster. So if you're interested in that, send me an email at travismagus777 at gmail.com. I already sent responded to most of the emails. I'm finishing up the rest of them tonight. So we'll be setting up appointments to talk with you to see if this is what you want to do, or if you're not ready for it, or if you are ready for it. But it's going to start a week from now, right? And as long and the classes are going to be recorded, right? So if you aren't able to make one, or if it's too much for you, you can take it at your pace and you'll have access to it. But the important thing is that you get in now, because like I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this, because I'm moving on to other stuff come the next couple of months. I'm probably going to be more Kabbalah focused the next couple of months. So if you want to continue with me on this journey, on with yourself on this journey moving forward, this is going to be a great way to get you in place. Now, just like that last video I posted is going to be a great way to kind of catch you up and keep you up as far as Samkhya is concerned. This course is going to catch you up and keep you up as far as doing this inner work and activating your inner light, right? Because this whole process is about going within. That's why we're studying all this stuff. It has an effect on your external world for sure, but the importance is going within. Okay? All right? So let's get at it. Let's get at it. All right, so Magic and Kabbalah, yes, W.E. Butler. That's the green book. Um, a lot of his books seem to be a bit rare or out of print. So, like I said, if you can get it, if it's in your karma to get it, by all means get it. All of his books have been supremely influential. Like I noticed a change in my personality after reading his content, after reading W.E. Butler's information. I noticed a change, absolutely. Um, and that he helped me to understand the role of compassion and service when it comes to your spiritual walk and your occult journey, right? And from further study in yoga, I see why it's important. There's only one soul, and that's your true self. The higher up you go, the more unified it gets. The more unified it gets. The lower you go, the more dispersed and scattered and various it is. So, of course, working from a level of service and love and compassion, you're working from the highest levels, because only at those levels can you truly understand and appreciate service and giving and compassion, because you're dealing with the one life force. There's only one life force. It's not yours and hers and his over there. Like, we're all the same inner entity. Now, the external is different for sure. The external body that life force uses is going to vary from person to person. But we're not talking about that. Let the basic regular folks talk about that. We're talking about something on a deeper, more important level. All right. So I am about to rock and roll, get up out of here. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys giving your time and your information to focus on this study, right? Because it's not the words, it's not the books, not the videos, it's what you gain from it. It's what you gain from these books and from these videos and from these lessons. It's that inner experience that you gain. That's what's important. So you're making the effort to gain the experience. And I appreciate that in you, because that's the same force that's in me. So when they say namaste, that's what it means. I see and I acknowledge the God in you. I couldn't be able to see it or acknowledge it if I didn't recognize it in myself. So, I mean what I say. I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being here. And may this 2022 be the absolute best year that you have ever lived in your entire manifestation. So, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you guys. See the unicorn? Peace.